Okay, welcome everyone to second episode of PoBcast. This time we have Waggle again, the best hardcore trade has to offer. We have Manni, the best SSF softcore and Ruthless has to offer. And we have the insane cat, the best div card that was added this patch. How are you guys doing? How is everyone doing? Manni, how are you?
Great. Looking forward to Ruthless, man. I haven't been able to play the alpha, so I'm actually more hyped for this league than I've been for a long time.
I mean, at least it's something new for you to do, right? You have pretty much done everything else otherwise, so at least it's a new challenge.
Yeah, that's exactly why I like it. Just a new game mode, you know? Some fresh air.
What about you, Ru? How are you feeling about 3.20 in general? Feeling any hype?
I am. I think there's a lot in the patch. I think the league mechanic is the most hype that I felt for a league mechanic in a long time. I felt like it's exactly what PoE needs right now, like something long, in depth, challenging, and something brand new.
Yeah, I agree. I really love the league mechanic. Looks really good. What about you, Waggle? What you planning to play? Any Ruthless?
Nah, I mean, maybe in like a month. I'm pretty much looking forward to the league mechanic, though. I mean, I feel like I spent the last month just playing roguelike games, and then they're like, oh, by the way, we got a roguelike league coming out, and I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah, I think it's like exactly what we need from league mechanic, especially after like of Calandra. This should be hopefully a lot better. It looks very promising.
It feels like the best league mechanic for hardcore I've seen ever. Like, if I ever wanted to try out hardcore, this would probably be the league.
I think it's a little deceptive. I think we're gonna die in Sanctum in hardcore quite a bit, probably.
I feel like a lot of people are getting deceived by that too. They're like, a lot of people on SC Trade and like Discords, they're like telling me like, oh yeah, we don't need to build defense this league. It's just all resolve damage. We're not gonna die. We could just go ZHP Trapper, dude. I think they're all clueless.
If you die, you lose the entire Sanctum, right? So you really can't afford to die. I don't know how you're gonna play this. It's gonna be interesting to figure out the optimal way to play, I think.
I mean, I doubt you would die if you're playing, like, you know, a hardcore build. Because it's balanced around softcore probably anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was looking at it. Like, I mean, I'm sure there will be situations where you could rip, but considering they've made it to where they're kind of expecting you to be able to do it without dying, that means that softcore players will be able to do it. So in hardcore, the bosses might be an exception or something, but I think just in general, when they do these like semi-hardcore mechanics, they've all been pretty well balanced.
Would you consider Heist pretty well balanced? Because that's kind of it, right? And Ultimatum as well?
Wait, okay. Forgot about Heist early on, but like Lab works pretty well. Ultimatum, I think, went really well. I loved Ultimatum, at least.
Yeah, I hope it's good. I plan to do it early just to get familiar with the league mechanic. Like, I probably just won't try during leveling and do it while leveling to figure out how it works and whatnot. Hopefully it's not like overtuned or like bugged, but we'll see.
I mean, they had an extra.
Go for it.
They had an extra like 3 weeks, right? Surely it's gonna be well polished.
Yeah, surely they worked on it the 3 weeks they got extra. Surely. And surely it's not a Christmas league and they are not about to release it and then leave after a week, right?
Guys, just so you know, the gems are a day late. The Atlas tree isn't coming out until 2 hours before league launch. It sounds like they're way behind schedule, and it's gonna be Bug City. I'm just letting you guys know now.
But it's just because they spent all their time making the league mechanic really, really good.
Yeah, also we got the manifestos like super early, right? Like for example, the Archnemesis and Curse Manifesto we got like super early on. So hopefully they were ready like long before.
The last time it felt like GGG was in this kind of situation was like Heist League, I feel like, if that's the right league. And they were like hurrying, they were like scrambling, and then it was like a very, very greedy league, which I think this league is very greedy. There's like a lot of shit, right? there's a lot of unique items. There's a lot of like everything. It's like a huge league mechanic, and they feel like I feel like they're scrambling now. That's the feeling I'm getting from them.
I mean, the patch is kind of big compared to the last 3 or 4 maybe, but compared to what we had in the past, like leagues like Delve or Synthesis, it doesn't seem very big, honestly. Like in terms of scope.
I guess it's just the league mechanic is gonna have like 4 different bosses at least, right? From what they have said, and there's a lot of balance changes. As much as we complain about the lack of skill balance changes, there's a lot of balance changes to the base game. Like, let's start with Archnem. Like the whole Archnem rebalance / going back to old system, pretty much like old Nemesis system. How do you guys feel about that in general?
As long as we can still like mostly tell when rare mobs have specific mods by just looking at the mob, because I feel like Archnem actually did that part really well. As long as they keep that in for the most part, I'm fine with it. I think rare mobs are going to be a joke this league, though.
That's because you have a gigabrain, Waggle, and you remembered every single mod. For like the 99% of the player base who can't do that, Archnem was like insane for them. So I think it'll be better. But I just hope they don't tune up the individual mods too high, where like everyone just starts getting one shot again, and then like the freaking resist mods are off the charts. I hope they.
Do you think they're gonna change them? Because they haven't mentioned it anywhere, have they?
I think that the rare mobs are just going to be, maybe the mods are slightly tuned up, and I think the mobs are just going to be weaker by like a considerable amount on average.
I think they said that they adjusted, which means increased probably the values on the mods. So I think if you get unlucky, the high roll could be even worse than before when it comes to like spike damage. But hopefully it won't be. I don't know, it's really hard to predict until we get the numbers, but we should get them during the, like, once the torrent is up, right? PoEDB should have the new values after that, so we should be able to at least know what to expect.
Yeah.
I do think it's gonna feel a lot better though for like all the elemental builds, especially because there are so many like resist mods. I don't think it's gonna be nearly as bad as it was.
I mean, especially those God touch monsters in the past. They always were 4 modifiers, right? So they had like, what isn't like 10 or 15 mods in the new system now. Those should be like the high end of rare should be a lot lower now. The ceiling of their power, I guess.
How do you guys feel about them not actually removing the things people didn't like about Archnem? Like, obviously they are making it easier, which is gonna be received positively, but all the stuff that like I hated about Archnemesis is still in the game. Stuff like Executioner, Temporal Bubble, all the stuff is still in the game, right? Magma Barrier.
I think
they want that
fine
stuff
individually.
You don't? I like hate Executioner like really like a lot. There's like no counterplay, it feels like, as long as the mob is like hasted or something.
But that's what GGG needs to kill you, and or they could just like start nerfing your movement skills again, which is going to make the game feel bad, right? So something has to give for them to kill players like you.
I guess as long as it doesn't feel like you're punching like a 95% fire res bag of like infinite HP, it's probably gonna feel better than it did regardless, right? So I'm expecting the gameplay to feel a lot better. Even if there might be some like damage spikes and whatnot, the gameplay should feel a lot better overall. Like, I don't know if you guys agree with that, but
I think I'd rather have like effects like Magma Barrier or Executioner that are like special than just adding like more damage on those rares or something, you know? Just slapping stats on them.
Same.
I guess
I
it
agree
does
with
make
that.
them more interesting. That is true. I didn't really consider that because of my hatred for Executioner.
I mean, Executioner is like, worst case it's double damage, right? Kind of. No, not really. It's a lot weaker than that even.
It can feel really bad on some particular builds. Like Bone Shatter, for example. But I guess that's just like an exception.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of builds have like their 1 or 2 mods that are just like their nemesis, right? Like their counter. Don't really know what you could do about that though.
Bagel, have you died to any like weird Archnemesis combos in the last like 2 leagues or so? Like anything like memorable?
Yo, can you ask me that again? I sneezed and I couldn't hear you.
I was asking if you died to like any Archnemesis combos that were like memorable in the last like 2 leagues or so. Because as much as I hate Archnem, I can't really think of a situation where I died to like a Archnem.
I died 2 leagues ago, I think. What was the league where we all agreed not to play Seismic and then everybody went and played Seismic anyway? I played Lightning Trap and got dicked on by some Giga Lightning immune rare mob in like a betrayal encounter.
I think that was Sentinel League, right? So it was
Yeah.
like pretty overtuned at the start and then they tuned it down after like the first week.
Yeah, I got owned on day 1.
Yeah. But I feel like as much as Archnem felt annoying, it still felt more fair than like old rare aura stacking, at least for hardcore. I think in softcore it probably felt a lot worse. I don't know, Manni or Rue can probably comment on that.
I never really hated it that much, honestly. Like, I don't know, stuff like FEG or like Executioner, they sound annoying and like you can't play against them, but I never really had situations where I felt like, oh shit, I actually died to that and I couldn't do anything.
I think I spent like a league and a half being terrified of Executioner after they had already nerfed it to where it like didn't do anything anymore. It was just ingrained to still be terrified every time I saw that shit.
I'll be honest. I spent too much time playing CF in the last few leagues, so Archnemesis is basically nothing when you play CF. You hit one button and everything dies, and they have no damage reduction towards you. They don't do extra damage towards you. You're just like this walking tank, so it just didn't matter.
So are you playing that build again this week?
No, I'm gonna play something else.
I don't know. I think overall this is gonna make the game feel a lot better. I would be surprised if it felt worse. I just can't imagine how they would tune it for it to feel worse. Like this should be a net positive for like all of us, hopefully.
I think like the power curve between like magic, rares, and unique enemies is gonna be like more in line as you would expect it. Because they buffed Exiles last league too, right? But you know, during the heights of Archnemesis, I felt like Essence rares were like way harder than like map bosses or Exile and stuff like that. Hopefully that's reversed now and is back to where it should be, I guess. Or where you expected it to be.
It definitely felt weird when like a random rare was tankier than a map boss. A lot of people complain about that, right? So
Not just tankier. Some of them were tankier by like, I don't know, like they were like tankier than like Shapers and freaking, you know, like pinnacle bosses, like some Essence monsters last league. You can even kill that crap when you got to them. It was crazy.
that's
You
no
still
longer
have
the
to kill
case
it,
though,
though.
right? Like nowadays essences are like way tuned down. Like I don't feel like I've encountered like super tanky essence in like forever.
Yeah, but that's after like so many balance passes they had through Archnemesis, right?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm very hopeful about this change. Like I've seen some people be a little, pessimistic about how they're gonna buff every mod to like 400% and it's gonna be even worse, but I doubt that's the case. Like I expect this change to make the game easier and in general make players happier.
Yeah. I mean, they must know by now that that's like the community's main pet peeve, or not even a pet peeve, right? Like, it's the main problem, right? They can't mess this up again, surely. They're gonna be in a shitstorm if they fuck this up. Surely not.
I agree with that. I agree with that in theory, but it's GGG we're talking about, and the community also has voiced like the trade system sucks for 10 years, and then they just laugh at us, and they said that's friction, and then the community has also voiced that low tier like like item generation is a central part of like how to gear up your build these days, and they're like, no, just find stuff off the ground. So they have their own way of thought, their own like ways to think about the game, and I don't know what they're going to give us exactly.
Yeah, true.
I think the one thing that is gonna shake up the meta the most this league was the Curse Manifesto, though. Like, that thing has the potential to change the way we think about all the builds pretty much, except like Fizz builds. Fizz builds didn't really get affected too much, but all the like elemental builds and all poison builds got affected greatly, right? How did you guys feel about the Curse Manifesto? Did it like make you make like new builds? Did it make you think about the game like differently? It's not just adding a curse to your build, even though a lot of builds do just click Whispers of Doom now and just add an extra curse. But in general, it allows for different approach to damage scaling, I feel like, compared to what it used to be, now that curses are actually effective.
I don't know if it affects like planning out or building around it too much in a lot of cases, because it's only for bosses really that like the changes are relevant, right? I think the biggest thing would be I can see a handful of builds that like used to just have like a level 1 LE weakness on hit on their ring was like their only curse. They might want to have like some sort of self-cast or some other way to get a high level curse for bossing, because the damage difference is actually going to be pretty substantial now.
I think poison builds got the most and the worst end of the stick, because now they have to learn how to calculate poison with temp chains and effective temp chains and how it affects their poison and stuff like that. Even though they got the most, they now have to learn something. It's pretty simple for the other things, but I feel like, can we talk about balance when it comes to curses right now?
Yeah,
we could, right? I feel like they kind of did a rough job in that regard, because, man, like Elemental got so much, right? And Poison got so much, and Spell Chaos got the shaft. I mean, they got the shaft. Worse than like Fizz, they got the bad end of the stick, and a lot of those builds were already on the bottom. Like Bane was bad, right? And ED was bad, like at Leaguestart, and then now they're just even worse. And I feel like they should have really considered like some of that stuff before they made these changes.
Just run defensive curses, it'll be fine, right? You'll get damage. Bane and ED are known for very high damage.
Really?
I mean, the main difference is that Elemental actually has two like strong offensive curses with it. I mean, I think the problem here is created by Ele Weakness existing, right? If Ele Weakness didn't exist, this disparity wouldn't exist either.
I would say it's the mark, because those builds don't have a mark option, right? Well, most other builds have a big damage mark they can use for bosses already.
I feel like Elemental cooldown builds don't have a mark either, but they got buffed by a lot by this as well. Right, so it's not necessary.
True. They have 2 damage. Yeah,
it's just like the fact that there is Ele Weakness and then Flammability or Frostbite or whatever, but Chaos only has Despair, kind of makes it the short end of the stick when it comes to damage scaling.
They were already on the bad end, right?
Yeah, so I mean, Fizz builds were already on the low end as well, so it kind of just like increases the gap, I feel like.
Although to be fair, I think specifically for the like ED and Bane builds, like Despair did get hit pretty hard, right, in a lot of situations. I think those are ones where like the Despair change wasn't actually really bad. Like it wasn't as bad, right? Because you didn't benefit from the flat damage, and then the increased damage, you have like a lot of Wither anyway.
It's about 15% damage increase on single target still.
But I don't think it's behind because the Despair change was what it was. I think it's like you guys said, like it's missing a mark or it's missing a secondary curse, like how Ele Weakness or the marks.
I guess you could make an argument for Enfeeble being like a damage curse for Blight a little bit, where if you actually Enfeeble the boss, you might be able to get more damage that way, since now Enfeeble actually does something.
I mean, Enfeeble's really good now.
And what the thing I hate the most about this curse change, or like the thing I dislike a lot, is the big penalties on Blasphemy and Bane, and even curse on hit, like Hex Touch. I don't understand why the penalties have to be so big, honestly. Like especially Blasphemy, since you already reserve so much mana and have to lose like an aura for it. I think it's completely unjustified.
Yeah, I don't
answer
like
this
the
one.
blasphemy.
I agree
can
on
answer this
Blasphemy
one.
for sure.
See, the vision is for you to press buttons, Manny. If you don't press buttons, there's no vision combat. So they are willing to do whatever it takes for you to press that extra button to make PoE feel more of an active game instead of just running through every single monster and 3 screens exploding.
Yeah,
That's
I know, but when you already have a bunch of buttons on every build,
but
and now you have another one, I guess.
They
They
want
also
more
left in
buttons.
Arcnemesis brand, or are we just gonna not mention it and move on?
They left a lot of things out, right? Arcnemesis brand, the ring, the Skitterbot's ring.
Those are fine because
Cast one-
that's investment on gear, I think.
Cast
I mean,
one
so
damage
is
taken on
Blasphemy,
Bone
though.
Cutter.
That's true.
Blasphemy is so
Blasphemy shouldn't
expensive.
I think Hextouch having a downside is fine. I don't think Blasphemy should have downside, at least not this high. Maybe 10% if you feel like it's too strong, but it definitely shouldn't have 25% less curse effect. That's just insane, considering how much mana it costs to reserve.
Be okay with reduced too.
That is true. Reduce would be a lot better because at least you can like counterscale it better.
I feel like there would actually be like new ways to build characters. You don't just default to like, I'll run Determination and maybe Grace on top. Like, you know, maybe you could have run defensive Blasphemies instead. But it's just kind of dead on arrival with the penalty. I mean, maybe I'm dooming it too much. Maybe it's actually fine.
I think
We'll have to play
Blasphemy
that.
and Feeble is still kind of strong. It's buffed by a decent amount for it to be like good enough. But the problem is that it doesn't affect a lot of boss abilities. So
Yeah, like arenas, right?
yeah. So I don't know how good it actually is.
And I mean, it was really good for mapping already, right? Like these Blasphemy defensive curses, they were really strong for tankiness while mapping, but they actually got worse there. And on bosses, it doesn't work too well with the... on bosses, you can just self-cast so easily anyway, right? There's no reason for a Blasphemy on a boss when there's just one enemy. You would always just self-cast it anyway and run a defensive aura instead.
How do you guys feel about the fact that they made every single aura scale with levels except them chains? The fact that they didn't change the way them chains works with making debuffs last longer with levels, and they just allow us to them chains on hit without penalty, pretty much.
And making them scale with levels, I think, is good for curses. It makes a lot of sense, but yeah, they... I don't know if they forgot about temp chains or they weren't... I don't know what happened there.
I'm not sure. Like, it just feels like they... It does feel like they forgot. Like, that scale doesn't make sense in this game right now. Like, if you played around with it in PoB, it is a little ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure that was just one line, and there was no like code that there's no slider for them, pretty much. And then so they would have to like put in a whole new part for the skill, and I'm pretty sure they just were just too lazy. They were just like, forget about it.
We'll see how that develops. At the same time, it's not a big deal in softcore because duration damage is like not that insane in softcore. It's gonna be strong early on, but towards like the later parts of the league, people will go away from it.
Yeah.
In hardcore, it's probably gonna be strong the entire league. Like, even when it comes to stuff like Gauntlet, I would expect poison builds to be on top. Even if they were to ban Seismic, there's still a lot of other poison builds you could play. Just because of how strong them chains poison scaling actually is.
I mean, it's extra strong in Ruthless too, because every fight takes forever anyways.
It's true. I like, speaking of scaling, I really like the idea you had, Ru, actually. The whole Eye of Malice stuff. You want to talk about that for a second, or are trying to not really talk about it too much?
No, I don't mind. There's a lot of things that benefited from curses. The curses change, right? The one of the biggest things is like Eye of Malice on like a because it's 50% increase to enemy resistances, right? And you can increase negative resistances to more negative resistances. So like Eye of Malice can actually reach like -200, which is like Toriani's prototype level. Up to like 35% to 40% more damage on per individual build. Like there's a lot of like items that got affected by these curse changes, and that's just like one of them. And it's very important how to scale these like builds right now that the numbers have changed on them, because like elemental dot builds couldn't even really scale like minus res too much in the past. And I don't know if you guys ever played like a ignite build and you went to simulacrum and had like a plus 50 or a 70 fire res boss and you just couldn't kill it. But now it has all of these different choices on how to scale curses and different items to scale curses and stuff like that. It's really good for elemental dot builds.
I feel like that's something that will actually create like a new way you try to scale damage. Like I don't know. It's just, to me, that feels interesting, right? Like that's the change about curses that allows like a different archetype in a way.
I mean, the fact that we actually consider these curses against, pinnacle bosses because they were so weak before, you just kind of ignored them or just, went for a mark anyways. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, when they did that change with the marks, I guess it was a curse change where they split it up into hexes and marks. The marks felt pretty good. And it was like really nice having something good against bosses finally. And I think this is going to be similar in a lot of builds where it's like, oh, this finally actually feels worthwhile and impactful.
I mean, have you guys ran the numbers on how much more damage you actually expect to have on your elemental builds? Because I did,
yeah.
And it's on a lot of builds, it's just straight up double damage for like 4-point investment pretty much, and self-casting an extra curse. Which is gonna feel like really good, because a lot of these like elemental dot builds, ignite, cold dot, already built really strong for mapping, and all they were lacking was some boss DPS, and this will hopefully just fill in the gaps.
Yeah, like all my builds hit like dot cap now, so it's pretty big buff. I would say like they're about 30% more on like ignite builds, depending on like how your build is set up. Some builds hit up like to 40%. I doubt they really go past that, right? I haven't seen a build that went over 40%.
Is dot cap a DPS thing, or is it just like a total damage from the
It's
entire
35
duration?
mil per second. It's a DPS thing. It's per minute, but it's like 35 mil per second. It ends up being that. And realistically speaking, if you're at that point, most Uber bosses die within like 10 seconds anyway, so it doesn't really matter past that. The only place where it would matter, I guess, is like Deep Delve, right? Literally the only place. Maybe Simulacrum, I'm not sure if the bosses are tanking.
I mean, I guess technically it always matters to be faster, right? But,
I guess.
Yeah. I don't think I ever had a build that even had like half the DPS in the last 2 years.
SSF Live, man. SSF Live. I mean, technically, you probably had more DPS on the Silver Perch Helix, right?
Oh yeah, that build was... I'm kind of sad it's gone, dude. That was fun.
That was the one thing like of Calendar did really well. Like, all the like broken interactions that weren't really intended, they were kind of fun.
Yeah, like, the patch didn't really bring like a big shift, but when like a new archetype of a new build like that pops up, it's exciting. I hope we'll see some of that this league with all the uniques they added to the game. Some of them look pretty good, right?
A lot of them look insane.
I was disappointed by the gloves. I'm not gonna lie, the Impel gloves. Just because almost any build you could Impel with is probably better as poison right now.
But that's
not
just temp chain
terrible.
things.
Yeah, and Gucci, I talked to Gucci about it. He said they just couldn't give them what they want because they would have to like write new code or something for it, and then it would just be too much of an item.
So for just to explain what Gucci actually wanted, he wanted the Impel chance scale with crit multi, if I recall correctly. So that way it would be way stronger. Because then you could...
you want it Impale crit multi to scale with Impale effect.
Oh, so yeah, sorry, Impel effect, not chance, you're right. Like, so your crit multi would scale both your damage and your Impel damage was the initial idea. But instead, they just ended up giving him like a flat Impel effect on the item, which is decent. Like, the item is still good. It's still almost double damage on like pair of gloves. It just ends up not being as good because temp chain's better.
Yeah.
I think if they ever fix temp chains or nerf temp chains, I think Impale self-cast is gonna be very strong. And it might already be stronger in softcore at the high end anyways, because you would rather have hit damage than like damage over time, so I think it will find its use.
Also, Lord of Steel disappeared this league, so that's kind of like hurts Impale a little bit too.
You know how you said earlier they want us to click more buttons, but then they remove jewels like that enable builds to play a lot of buttons. It's like sometimes you wonder what they're doing.
Speaking of the jewels, how do you guys feel about the whole like jewel rework / removing a bunch of underused or unneeded jewels?
Most of them deserved to get deleted, but I don't know. There was some sloppy fire, some stray casualties. I didn't even realize until I think like 2 or 3 days ago that Mantra of Flames is just gone, which that one's crazy. I don't know how they delete that jewel from the game.
That
Gem info
jewel
just came.
I feel like Mantra of Flames had more bugs with it than things that worked correctly. So even though people like the jewel and it was used, they probably just cut it out so they didn't have to deal with it.
Gem info just came out, Ventura. Do we want to
Yeah.
go quickly over them?
We can go quickly over it. It shouldn't be too much, right? So
it's easy.
I'm gonna pull it on stream. I don't know if you guys want to watch or if you wanna pull it up for yourself. So which gems are you actually most interested in from the new gems, guys? You can take a look
Let's go
at
over
this
all
one.
of them, I think.
Okay. Bow Cleave. Base damage 400%. That seems pretty high. I don't know what the level 1 was. I still think Cleave is a meme, man. I don't think it matters what they do with Bow Cleave. I'm gonna be real, it just feels like it's not gonna
But
do
it's
much.
Headhunter, dude.
60% more AoE Headhunter, dude.
Do you think you ever use Cleave like 1 link, 2 link, like Val Cleave to get Headhunter buffs on like Bladestorm build or Bone Shatter build? Is that ever something you would
I
consider?
doubt it.
I think if you're a poor guy in softcore and you had a melee build, you could use a Volsoul Sextant and just cleave constantly and get a bunch of Headhunter buffs and feel like your first like Headhunter build ever. But besides that, yeah, I would just like kind of leave it alone.
Molten Strike. Val Molten Strike can store 3 uses. Soul Spare is 15.
That's really low.
That is pretty low. Hits can be evaded. Not that it matters too much. 8 additional approach. Otherwise it's the same. It chains 8 times, by the way, on the gem.
That's a lot. Like it's like rolling magma, right? The behavior. 8 chains rolling magma is a fuck ton.
Wouldn't
That's
it be a
basically
lot of damage on the
everywhere.
die? Like 4.
Yeah, what's the
3?
Deadeye thing?
I think. Hold up, let me double check. Deadeye says. Oh, I need to find it here. Projectiles. Does it no longer give damage per projectile? Oh, it did.
I mean, damage per chain, right? That's gone, I thought.
Oh, it is gone.
They give us
it's
the
gone.
wall chain instead.
Oh, I thought it was still there. Is it on
too.
the amulet at least, or is it gone from the amulet too? What was the name of the amulet?
Gloomfang.
Gloomfang?
Gloomfang. That spells only though, right? I think. Gloomfang.
Oh, it's just projectiles that have chain. It doesn't have like a
Oh,
per chain
okay.
either.
So per chain doesn't exist anymore, I think. Except like a master that's like increased damage or something. Which is not
Yeah,
that
I
big
think
of a
there's-
deal. It's still think Val Molten Strike is gonna feel good. Like Molten Strike was already a decent build. Sure, it got nerfed with like Nightblade and whatnot, but you can play Paradoxica Molten Strike.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
it's
skill
just a
is like
strict
okay.
buff.
Any chance you guys think this is gonna be better than Lightning Strike next league after the Lightning Strike nerfs?
I think a Lightning Strike's a meme
Really?
now. Yeah, I think it's a meme.
I feel like you can just upload to
could
use
see it.
GMP in maps.
Yeah, for like, I mean, like for hardcore SSF, like you probably could do that when you're like really geared, and it'll be like perfectly fine. If you're doing like just like normal content, right? But if you're trying to like GMP juice content and SC, you're gonna need like so much gear to hit that point. It's like gonna be crazy.
Let's check
That's like
Sorry, go ahead.
that's even more reduced damage, right? You're losing a support, and then you're adding a damage penalty on your gem. It's like
Yeah.
minus. It's like a 4.5 link.
I mean, technically there are ways to get extra projectiles with like lava enchant and whatnot that could maybe be enough.
It's
I think
one
he would
now.
pretty much never use GMP. I can't imagine that's ever the case.
Okay, so I'm looking at Val Smite, and I'm kind of reconsidering my starter.
I hate Vol Smite.
So it's 50% more damage than normal Smite as the flat damage bonus, and it has 430% attack damage and damage effectiveness. So it's pretty much better than normal Smite by 50% in every single way.
Oh my lord.
Hits up to 30 targets.
Can you just have this buff up all the time? Like, what is the duration on that Val Smite buff? 8
Duration,
seconds?
8 seconds. Soul Game
Soul
Prevention
Gain
6.
Prevention 6.
Pretty much, you could probably like if you are mapping and you are like blasting a little bit, I think you will have it non-stop. I think Val Smite looks really good.
I think Vol Smite, if you play like an actual Smite character, is gonna be sick. I just really don't like Vol Smite for people that are gonna socket it in on spell builds and stuff. I don't know why they had to make it like attack lightning damage, man.
I feel like Val Smite specifically should be only damage with Smite. Or Smite and Val Smite. And like leaves normal Smite as a buff. It's just like, it's gonna be too much, man. I don't know. It's like you're gonna play Spark and you're gonna have Val Smite to buff your Spark damage. And it cannot be evaded either, so you don't have to scale accuracy anymore. Like that's low key,
that's
like
actually
super
big.
OP.
That was the main issue why Smite was so annoying to use, honestly.
Smite and Val Smite are two separate buffs, but you can only have one of them, right? No, wait,
they stack.
They said you can have
on
both
the
of them.
ones. Yeah.
That's so insane, man. It's how much
That's
damage is the
insane.
Graph Aura? Graph Aura. I'm gonna pull it on stream and check.
1 to 300 something, I think.
It's Graph Aura is pretty much the same thing as the Smite. So it's instead of you are getting 2.5 Graph Auras by using Smite and Val Smite combined. That's just so ridiculous, and it's gonna feel pretty bad on the builds that are not actually Smite builds, but it's gonna it is gonna be extremely strong.
You pretty much always go like lucky lightning damage with non-crits and do a precise technique, right? Like bottom right side of the tree somehow. Sounds like a starter.
On low budget, you definitely could do that. What ascendancy would you do that on?
Champion Aura effect.
Probably, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't sound like a bad starter at all, does it?
How good is this? Aura makes Smite strike +1 target with lightning. Because on default Smite, it only says it strikes 1 target, so you're getting like double the targets.
All right, I played champion melee like aura stacking for forever. So, league starting it is basically pain champ because all your damage scales off of your auras, right? Like wrath and stuff like that. And before you level your auras up all the way, like when you get the maps, they're like level like 15, 16 auras, right? 16 auras, and you do no damage. You basically do no damage because melee all scales off like totems, and now you need like curses, and then like exposure and all of that crap together. So it's like a million buttons, and it just doesn't feel the best. It looks okay on PoB when you do it, but
I mean, I don't know, you get to level 18 gems in like no time, right? You run like a few white maps and you're level 18.
yeah, but it just takes a while. I'm not saying it's not doable.
I mean,
But by the time you get to like 18 gems in your white maps, people are gonna like freaking Tai's killing freaking Awakener, and then you're just getting memed on.
If you play in Trade League though, there's Valkyras, there's March of the Legion. March of the Legion is pretty common. Right? Like March of the Legion is gonna be insane for Val Smite. If you are not playing if you are playing like any other attack build and you're using Val Smite for a buff. I guess even you could just forling it there too, probably. Just for extra flat.
if this was last league, you would just level with Helix until like level 80 or something, right? And then swap. But I think I don't see how this would be bad to start with. Can't be that bad, right? Surely not.
I think I think this is actually the biggest buff to Inquisitor like Spark or like some sort of elemental caster build that uses a scepter rather than Smite itself.
For
To
sure.
be honest.
I think Smite itself is gonna be a decent build too, but it's gonna be like insane buff too. I think it's gonna end up being used mostly as a support gem for both attack and spell builds.
Man, someone's like some Inquisitors just gonna slap on a March the Legion, get like a level 25 Ball Smite, like, right at Leaguestart, and just start is gonna be cooking face in the invitations for all that currency.
I guess this Valsmite is also the big buff the group play needed. They needed that for sure.
True.
Because
Yeah,
it just
they
stacks,
got
right? They have
that.
Smite and Valsmite now, with Generosity linked to it.
Or
Like
good
at least
first.
Smite you need accuracy and stuff like that, right? This is just like boom, pop that in the boots, level 25, and you're done. No investment. And the boots are like usable because they have res and movement speed.
And extra socket, right? Because they have Divine Blessing. If you are playing
Yeah.
like EB. I don't know, Valsmite looks crazy. Both as a skill and as a support. Especially as a support. Volcanic Fissure looks awful. I'm gonna be real with you. If Quandric is listening, I'm sorry. I don't think this is a real build. I don't
That
know.
man is delusional. Every day he messages me about how he's gonna make the skill broken, how good it is. I'm just like, I can't listen to it anymore. I don't even want to look at this.
It was so sad when you compare it to like literally everything else. I feel like, I don't know. Even in like the showcase video, in the Glacier, they showed it and it like missed half the mobs.
There's like 2 mobs alive on every pack as it goes past, yeah.
This just seems really weak. That one is probably the biggest disappointment. I feel like they should release skills, like new skills, just stronger than you would expect. Like, whatever they think good balance is, and then just make them like 40% stronger so people actually. Like, because there's gonna be a lot of people league starting it because it's new. Or at least would like to league start it because it's new, but they're just not gonna have a good experience.
It's gonna be Firestorm 2.0 where the skill looks really cool and it baits people into playing it and then it doesn't do any damage.
How
It does look really cool.
It does look cool, but it's not very good. How does Vow Bladefire look? Blinds on hit can be evaded.
Yeah, it's OP.
+5 to circle radius per stage. Channeling spells and total radius is 90. And the damage
I'm
is
replacing Wall Molten
343.
Shell.
You don't have to channel this, right? You just click it once and it makes a circle.
I don't know. It's a channeling
channel.
spell.
It says
yeah.
wall channeling.
I think you do channel it. Well, I mean, the important part of this is the 50% less damage taken while channeling. That is
Wait.
Keep popping that in.
that is a
You
little.
just-
Wait. Caustic Arrow is a skill that it's shotguns, right? It's gonna be this skill plus Jung's Ring with Sniper's Mark. All the projectiles are gonna come back, and it's gonna fucking melt the. Oh god, I found it.
I
I
just looked
found
at
it.
Vow Caustic Arrow. It literally does like 230% of normal Caustic Arrow damage. This is actually kind of massive as well. Even as a dot, it's kind of massive. And the attack damage on it is 400%. So if it actually works for shotgunning, it would be insane too.
What is that attack damage?
These gems seem insane. Like Blade for 50, just casual 50% less damage taken while channeling. Caustic Arrow looking pretty sick. I mean, this is exactly what like Deathstone needed, right? Like Deathstone is gonna feel amazing with this. It just gets like a double single target buff. And if you can make it with the junk ring for like shotgunning, I could see that being insane burst as well.
I mean, the skill shotguns, right? Like
Caustic
people
Arrow does
use
with
it
extra
in-
projectiles, yeah.
Yeah. It does for sure because people use it for poison. So there's no reason why, like, if you Sniper's Mark it, right? It's not going to split into. I'm pretty sure it works with Sniper's Mark too, right? I need to test this, but I'm pretty sure it's just gonna split, and all of them are gonna come back, and they're gonna shotgun the monster with 10x hits. That's gonna be crazy. So the more mark effect you're gonna have, you're just gonna like do infinite more damage, right? It's gonna be like 4 or 5 times more damage on Caustic Arrow Poison. That's gonna be an insane build. I mean, you don't have to make it poison based, Junk.
Oh, you want to
could
just
make it
scale
out.
flat chaos? Like,
You,
what's
you
it
don't have
just
to do
called?
that.
Covenant?
You could just LE, or you
Oh,
could
yeah,
just
true.
go
You could just
take.
play all day.
With how much damage it's gonna do, yeah, you just do whatever you want.
Why? I'm
Yeah.
so surprised they actually put like high base damage on it. Like, of all things, put high base damage on Val Caustic Arrow, like the attack
It's
damage.
like 6x regular caustic arrows base damage for hit.
I think there's gonna be some sick stuff with this. Even if you use it for dot, it's sick. But I think the hit might be the more interesting part.
Yeah. I mean, all you need to do is log on right now to see if it works with Sniper's Mark, and if it does, then it's GG.
Wait, would that tech work on the Vol one? Because the Vol one has infinite pierce. Will it not just return to the target and go through it instead of exploding?
I mean, if it works on, it doesn't need to work on the Vol one. I mean, all the projectiles are going to come back, right? On the.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to work on the Vol one.
Why does this
But
thing
it
have
doesn't-
400 damage effectiveness when like Val Burning Arrow, for example, doesn't even have 200? Can't you just use this as a single target for like your Omni bow build or whatever, and just
One
deal
shot
way
on
more
that
damage than
boss.
anything else?
Junk is saying that it wouldn't work
sounds
on
cool.
Val Caustic because it doesn't have radius, so it wouldn't have the shotgunning area. So what Junk is saying is true, then you wouldn't be able to shotgun it. So it might just be like you will just use it for damage over time, which is still strong. Like it is, like we are kind of ignoring that part, but it is strong. I hope Val Caustic Arrow feels good, because Caustic Arrow builds always feel nice to play. It's just like single target. If Val Caustic Arrow fixes that, I think everyone who plays that is gonna have a good time.
When you got your 6-link Caustic Arrow, though, you oftentimes have Arrow Nova in there, right? Which would be a dead link for Val Caustic Arrow. It's kind of awkward.
That's fine though, right? So even if it's a 5, like, I don't think that matters too much. It's still gonna
obviously a
increase your
strict
single
buff,
target.
right? Yeah, it's something we didn't have before at all. So obviously it's a huge buff, but might have to adjust the build a little for it.
How do you guys feel about Val Flicker? There's been some builds going around when it comes to Val Flicker. I saw Dan POB stacking poison stuff. I think all the Ignite versions of Val Flicker look pretty decent. It's gonna feel awkward to play.
70% less damage of ailments. Have you
Yeah,
seen
but
that?
so the way it works is it counts all the 25 hits together for one Ignite.
Yeah, it does. It just marks the target and then it hits them all at once, like an anime character. That's why Ziggy was like, "This is so anime."
Yo, is this how Alchemist Mug becomes viable? 1 Giga Poison?
Nah.
Okay.
I think Ignite is probably makes more sense than Poison for us in general. Just because Poison,
Doesn't
Like-
benefit from the turning.
I mean,
into
the
one
way you
big
would
hit.
scale Poison is you would go for the non-Poison mastery and like low tolerance scaling, but it just feels so awkward to play low tolerance. Like if you accidentally shield charge a boss, you will like literally do 0 damage until the Poison is gone.
Do you guys not get a headache when you play this skill?
I have played the skill once for the total of 2 hours, and then I never touched again. I don't know. I
Is it
click
because you
strike.
got?
I've
It's
never
just
touched it, and I never will.
It's also like
Why-
the
why
best
is it
skill
in
to play to
PvP?
stream.
Yeah, I feel like it's a horrible skill to watch. Like when streamers play Flicker, I just stock leave because you can't even look at the screen. It like
Yeah, I get
hurts
motion
your
sick
eyes.
watching it, let alone playing it. There is no way I would ever consider playing it as a streamer. It's really bad. But it is gonna be strong, and if you can have a build to fit in like an extra power flicker setup, you don't even need to play flicker. You could just use it as a single target skill. We'll see.
That I can agree with. I can agree with you having like a 4-link wall flicker for like boss damage and stuff like that. I think that's cool.
Val Venom Gyre. That looked really good in the showcase. I'm just looking through the stats. I don't see anything like super insane. Up
It
to
creates
50
50
verticals. That is gonna feel really good for mapping. I don't know how good this would be for bossing.
So
It should still be good,
this,
right?
So this thing with Volsoul Sextant is just literally gonna turn like a Vol Venom Gyre build into a straight like auto bomber where you just literally hold down Whirling Blades, go right through the map, and everything's gonna die. Because it's gonna like you're just gonna activate it like non-stop, right? Because you're just gonna keep getting souls back. So
Do you think that
it's
Sanctum is
gonna
gonna
like
be
behave.
expensive this week?
Nah, it's that thing is so common. It's gonna be like 5 C max. I think a lot of people are gonna get to have a lot of fun in this league because that Sextant is going to make all of these builds like insanely strong and fun.
Yeah, like actually all of them, like Molten Strike, Bile Smite, Venom
Yeah.
Gyre, Flicker,
Even
Caustic.
Yep, it's just gonna be fun everywhere this league because of that Sextant, and I'm happy for it.
Frozen Legion is 280%. I don't know if you guys did any numbers on it already. So I don't know. I don't even know if 280% is good or not. I haven't really looked at the skill at all.
Same. I'm reading it for the first time.
They
mean,
get a
it's like-
cooldown reduction. It's the same. It's a
Doesn't
5-second charge up.
You can scale some cooldown recovery, I guess, but I feel like this is not gonna. You're not gonna be able to play only Frozen Legion. I think that would feel too clunky, too slow.
Yeah, I agree. You have to play it with something else.
But then, like, where do you get 5 extra sockets or 4 extra sockets, right? It's pretty hard. And, like, there's probably better ways to use those, especially with, like, all the WoW skills, like Flicker and whatnot. And then we got the new two supports.
Maroki offhand on Bone Shatter, dude.
Okay, dude. Ooh, the curse prolif is 30, like, range of 30. That's pretty big. I wonder if that's actually ever worth using. Probably not, but 30 is more than I
34
expected.
seconds. That's a long time. Are you looking at the other one?
Seems unnecessary.
34 seconds on the cursed ground.
Base duration 34 seconds. What?
Why?
They want to make it into a bossing thing, probably. So it's taking a support gem. I think it's good.
Oh, it's kind of sick for stuff like, I don't know, Blight or something, right? You just pop it down and do your 2-minute encounter.
You can only have one of them. But I guess that's fine, especially if you are like 1 curse plus 1 mark. Doesn't have less curse effect on it either, right? So it looks decent. I feel like people will actually like use this if they have the extra socket.
I'm planning
Yeah,
on
but
using
it
it.
just makes the curse strictly better, right? Instead of just casting your temp chains once, it lingers for half a minute. It's just strictly
Not
better,
at the
isn't it?
boss moves. Right? Like,
But there's no downside to it, I mean, right?
I mean,
It's not like it gets worse in any way.
If a boss moved enough, you'd have to recast the
Yeah.
ground more than you'd have to recast a regular curse.
Oh, are they
Depends on the
only
AoE
cursed?
stuff.
Oh, okay, I misread this. I thought they get cursed when they enter it, and then they're cursed, like, you know.
No. It's only on the
Oh.
ground.
Okay, never mind then. There's a downside, yeah.
It's still good. Like, I think it still has its use, and it might be used. I thought it wouldn't be good, but the duration of 34 seconds definitely makes it a lot more appealing. And it doesn't have any penalty on it either, which is good.
Could be sick for Simulacrum, right?
Yeah, for sure. You can precast it too, so for like trappers, like explosive trap or ice trap or whatever, it would be really strong, or like even like hex blast trap if you're going for hit based. You could trigger this, right? But I don't know if you want to trigger this. What if it just misplaces it?
Yeah. I think you just self-cast it.
Yeah,
mean, I can
overall, I would say the Val gems are like a pretty big success in my eyes. I wasn't too excited after seeing like the first two, like Cleave and Volcanic Fissure. But seeing the rest, they all seem really sick. I don't know how you guys feel about them.
Yeah, numbers on Val skills seem kind of big. And it's for some of them are for builds that are already like kind of fine, right? And it's just a strict buff to like Smite or a Caustic Arrow. Even Blade Flurry was maybe kind of playable, right? It just got strictly better.
I mean, Venom Gyre was played a lot.
Oh, Venom
already.
Gyre, yeah. Venom Gyre got big nerf of the Withering Step thing though, right? Or like elusive in general.
People used to play the strength stacking version, and that one is unchanged, right?
It didn't use Nightblade.
It used Frostbreath for Paradoxica, so now
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge then.
should be really strong for that. But it's probably not a league starter. Need the highest boots, which are pretty rare.
SC trade, it's still fine. Like yesterday, I couldn't like name lock properly because I was getting a headache. But even without doing it, I made some like shitty character, and it was still like owning kind of. So it's going to be a good build, I think. As long as you don't make it too squishy and just fall over in Sanctum, I think it's going to be good.
There's a lot of gem changes on this list. I don't know if any of them is like any of them are like important or not. I think there's like Orb of Storm change.
Wait, there is? Wait, where are these coming from?
I don't know. I just scrolled down. Like I haven't seen Orb of Storms in patch notes at all.
Yeah, I didn't either. We should go over these.
I don't know if that Orb of Storms thing is a change. I think it might have already done that and it just didn't say it on the gem.
Ooh, Shockwave cannot support triggered attacks. So you cannot use it for the Frozen Legion. I think Frozen Legion is kinda dead then.
It already said that before, didn't it?
Oh, it did? Smite added strikes.
Attacks used by things other than you is the new line, right? Whatever that means.
For small attack and causes.
Just expanded totems to everything that is not you.
You are saying Smite changed? I'm trying to figure out what exactly changed.
What gem are we talking about?
Smite.
It says each target can only be hit once by this skill.
Wasn't that already the case?
Maybe with Ball Smite it would have somehow been able to like, because it adds that extra strike or something.
Wait,
You would
what?
have been able to get extra overlap or something weird. I have no idea.
Wait, where does it say Smite can only be hit once with the skill?
Each target can only be hit once by the skill. It says.
Oh, that's terrible. They just nerfed the shit out of it.
Wait, did it used to like shotgun? Oh yeah, because
it
like
used to be like
ancestral
lightning
AoE.
strike. Yeah,
Oh.
it behaved exactly like lightning strike. Wait, why did they do this to this skill and not do it to lightning strike? That's crazy. The skill just got even worse.
So it is just a support skill at the end. We
No,
spent the time
it's a
talking
pure-
about it for no reason.
It's a pure support. What? What you do? What do you do? Oh my! It's over, boys. Put me in the dumpster. I'm about to start yelling, and I'm sick.
Wait, it used to have if melee strike hits a target, that enemy cannot also be hit by the area damage. So, is it that bad?
I'm so confused. I
Yeah,
haven't
okay.
played Smite, so
Okay. Yes, if your melee attack hits the target, you cannot hit it with the area damage, but you're not hitting it with the melee attack when you're hitting it with the area damage.
oh, your
Right? And then your
ancestral
ancestral procs, and
Yeah.
then hits it with the melee.
So it's literally just how lightning strike used to be, pretty much.
Well, no,
Yeah.
because Smite, I thought, doesn't it have to hit something to trigger the AoE? Like, you can't hit the ground to get AoE, can you? Or is that just for the buff? That might just be for the buff.
I think
it
that's for the
actually
buff.
Connect. Yeah.
No, it works. Just go on the wiki. The wiki will tell you too.
Okay, so you
used to
say
do it all the time.
it basically used to work like lightning strike, and it no longer does. Is the TLDR.
Yeah.
So the skill lost a lot of single target.
I mean, exactly half of it, right?
A little bit less because the area AoE is like 30% less damage. Wow, they just made the skill like unplayable. The Leaguestart.
I hate this. And whatever they nerfed it. Whatever. The fact that like it's not like in the patch notes feels lame again, right? It's like they're trying to sneak it in. I'm not sure why it's here, But if like the entire chat wasn't screaming at me, check smite, like I would never see this change. Like I wouldn't go through every skill. If it's like actual nerf, I mean, it sounds like it is an actual nerf. It could just be like a wording change, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think this is an actual nerf because it literally specifically says it could. Before it just says you cannot hit it with the melee and the AoE, right? Now it says you can only hit it once by the skill.
Okay, this might be copium, but maybe they mean the extra. Like when you use Vaal Smite, now you have 2 strikes, right? 2 lightning strikes.
True.
From the base smite.
But
maybe you can't hit all
only.
Both of those.
Oh, that's what you mean.
You know, just like lightning strike can't hit 2 projectiles on the same enemy, right?
Yeah, but what if them writing the code to do that actually made it so you can only hit the enemy once with everything?
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait for clarification, I guess. The fact that it didn't put it in the patch notes makes me think that this is just what I just said, right? Like just a not like an actual change to last league, but just to prevent like triple hit, I guess, right?
I mean, I guess we will see. I'm sure that now that they're doing the answering the questions that people ask, I'm sure a lot of people will ask about this, and hopefully we will get answered before the league starts.
Surely we will know soon. Yep.
I'm not sure if there's anything else that's like super important in the patch notes, or like in the gym info. But overall, like the Vaal skills are definitely like very positive. Overall.
Yeah, I'm actually getting kind of hyped.
I want to play a lot of Vaal skill builds, I feel like, this league. Not as a starter, but as like a second, third character, I feel like they could be really fun. Also, they buff Frostblades, by the way. I don't think it's enough. They buffed them by like 30% or so. But it might be decent. I think
it's more than they did on the patch notes, because they buffed it to compensate for the loss of jewels, right?
Oh, okay, maybe it's the same thing then.
Because the jewels gave you like 30 pen, I think it was.
Oh, maybe it's just that then.
Yeah, I think it's just that.
Yeah. I think that's it for the gems then. I think gems changes are interesting. How are you guys feeling about using Smite on every caster build now? Waggle, you sounded really excited about it.
I refuse.
You're just not gonna use it ever?
I just won't play like a Spark build, I guess.
But it lasts really long though, right? If you can 2-link it to increase duration, it's like what, 13 seconds or something?
Yeah, and then if you play it on Spark, that's already scaling duration. It's gonna be like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You're gonna scale your soul prevention time too.
Even
That's
better,
fine.
so I only have to use it once, right? Less uses, less buttons, it's good.
You still get 100% uptime because the base duration is actually longer than the prevention for some reason. I don't think.
And you can store 2 of them when you approach the boss. I don't know, it sounds sick.
Yeah, it does sound pretty sick.
It's just like a free RAF or feels like Spark. Or free as in we have to click a button for it and actually pull off a melee attack, but other than that.
I mean, that's what Alt Smite was. Now Vaal Smite is even more than that. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I think. I mean, even if you look at just Smite and Vaal Smite, right? Like if you just plug it into random caster build, that's a huge buff by itself. And then on top of that, curses and whatnot. All like the elemental builds are gonna feel amazing, I think, this league, damage wise.
I mean, couldn't you just use this on, like, say you're playing, do you tap your classic elusive, like, Nightblade kind of guy? Like, I guess not Helix anymore, but like Lightning Strike or Molten Strike, you could just toss it in there too, right?
Yeah, on Molten Strike for sure. Like if you're
especially
playing
on champs with the aura effect scaling.
I think like Paradoxica, Molten Strike. Yeah, I would use Paradoxica, right? Paradoxica,
right.
Molten Strike.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like insane damage. And you get Vaal Molten Strike for better clear, which was like the one weakness of the build. It was already fine, but now it's.
What about
like,
Savior?
Dude, just
It's
get
bad.
your March of the Legions ready. That's all I'm saying. Buy them early and just leave them there, because when people start finding out they can get like +9+ Empower on Ball Smite, and then they could just start melting stuff. Yikes, dude. I'm just saying.
I mean, all I'm seeing here is that there is gonna be builds that we haven't played last league that are actually gonna be good. And that's kind of all I wanted to see, anyways. So
You know the
I'm happy.
smite. You know the smite damage also works for ignite, right?
Yep.
So it's gonna make like a lot of other ignite builds even do more damage too. Especially like little Orobot cucks with their little EK friends. It's gonna make their builds like clear super fast.
Yeah, League starting like a duo EK Ignite plus the support must be insane.
Yep.
With this change for sure. I think that's it for the gems. So let's go back to the Jewel talk that we started before the gems got released. How do you guys feel about the changes to jewels in general? Do you guys feel like there's any jewel outside of Mantra, I guess, missing that is gonna
Concourse
be
efficiency.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
That's the big one. It was
Pretty
so
much
easy to
those
farm
ones.
too. Like if you wanted one in SSF, you would get it within a short time, right?
It's also a stat
That
that's
one
not
hurts.
really obtainable elsewhere, right? Like a lot of the other stuff you can just obtain elsewhere, but that one is just not really obtainable.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lord of Steel is what people are also mentioning, so.
Poacher's aim. I'm gonna be missing Poacher's aim.
How many builds used Poacher's Aim? Was it mostly just CF?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
actually, Creeping Frost used it if you wanted to play like Selfcast too, early on. It was pretty good on Leaguestart. Even on like Spark, you would use it.
survival secrets for
Econk.
ward loop.
Oh, for Word Loop. I think
Oh,
there's
yeah.
solutions to that, but it's definitely gonna feel worse because you will have to invest more into fast duration. It's on like rare jewels too now, but it's gonna be way harder to roll.
No, it was effect, so they're gonna have to get more ward now.
Oh, it was effect.
Yeah.
I thought it was duration. Oh yeah, it's a
it was
nerf to Soul Thirst, right? Because you will have lower... It was effect and duration, right? Wait, survival. I think
Yeah.
that was-
You're thinking one's for Soul Thirst and one's for ward loop.
Oh, there are two different ones. Oh, it's survival instinct that I was thinking. That one hurts quite a bit for like Soul Thirst builds. 50% flask effect duration.
Yeah.
That is pretty huge.
Like I don't know if you guys watched Delirium Everywhere. Havok was playing with Soul Thirst, and let's just say it looked pretty good on day one of the league.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
I don't think it's gonna look as good without the 50% duration. Like obviously it's still gonna be decent, but
But now you support as Valsmite. It's fine.
that is true. It does involve smite now.
That's crazy, dude. That's like 50% more damage on that buff, and it's lasts longer. I can't believe they nerfed melee and buffed aura stackers or aura bots. Oh my god, dude, the game's gone backwards, guys.
Man,
Tarn was
support-
right.
You will never fix supports in PoE. I feel like at this point, this is
Like cursor pods for like bossing is also huge now, isn't it?
yeah. All supports are. I mean, this is just always gonna be like that. Where when they are buffing us as players, supports are probably gonna get more of it. So it is what it is. I don't know. The obvious ones, Coated Shrapnel got removed, right? I don't think that's a big deal. You can solve that on Seismic at least. I don't know if you can solve... I assume you can solve it on any build. It shouldn't be like a big deal. I was kind of surprised they kept Rain of Splinters as a corruption jewel. So that one's
That's the
still
one
in.
with totem.
Yeah, the +2 projectiles.
Projectiles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also lost Divine Inferno, and I know not a lot of people like to play
I'm so
melee
sure Quantic
smite,
is sad
but
about it. Was that jewel even working? I remember it being in the game and it didn't even work. I don't know if they ever fixed it.
yeah, they did.
They did, okay.
It was fine for a while.
You know, I really like what they did to the Ayla hit jewels, where they added some vendor recipe to make the jewel if you need it. You know, I feel like they should have done that for more of those threshold kind of jewels that just they don't actually give you like stats, right? They just change your skill, and they're kind of mandatory for some builds. I feel like you should just be able to make them if you need them, but don't like make them part of the drop pool so they don't drop all the time and annoy people.
What's the name of the elemental hit jewel again?
Combat focus. They made a hidden vendor recipe. So
yeah,
this league,
potential
don't
vendor
play
recipe.
Ill hit on Leaguestart. We don't know what the jewel will be like. Like, we don't know how to get that jewel on Leaguestart. We're gonna have to figure it out.
Same for Dead Reckoning, that's the skeleton jewel, right? And some other ones.
Some minion thing, I don't know exactly.
I think it's the Skelemate jewel and the Discharge jewel, and I don't know what the last one is. Also, they changed something about golem jewels, so anyone who's like considering league starting more should be very aware of that part. I do think that it's good to add these like build enabling jewels as a recipe though, overall. I agree with that,
Yeah,
especially as like SSF perspective, right?
I wonder why they deleted so many though. Like, you know, the EK Nova, for example, is just gone. It's a helmet shot now. Why not just do the same thing for the jewel
You
there
can
too?
just put the Jung ring on its budget Nova, but with extra damage.
I think the reason they
farm
deleted
Uber.
it is because no one played EK without the jewel. Right? Combat focus you could play without, like, you didn't need specific combat focuses. They were like different ally hit builds. Dead Reckoning you could play normal skellies, you could play skelly mages, but like the EK wasn't really a choice, so they saw it as a problem.
Well, why not just build it into the skill then?
I think they should have. I think they should have done that like in the first place, a long time ago.
Yeah, agree.
Like EK just doesn't work in the current game without Nova, realistically speaking. I don't know. I saw a lot of people like complain about the jewel removal. I'm a little afraid of, like, I don't know how many builds it will kill necessarily, but like it hurts more like the niche builds than like the meta builds. All the jewels that were removed pretty much. Also, people are saying that the custom crate is gonna feel really bad without Conqueror's Efficiency. I don't know if that's true. I haven't really looked into that build.
A lot of builds are going to feel bad without Replica Conqueror's Efficiency, especially the builds that really needed unique rings to work and have no other way of getting minus mana cost besides, like, you know, one ring. They've relied on that jewel. Now it's just going to be hell for them. They're going to have to find, like, it's going to be like they have to wait for Mage Blood before the build comes online now. It's going to be weird.
I mean, it's stuff that's solvable, right? Like, the problem is that flat minus cost is just a very limited stat. Like, there's only a couple places really you can get it, so like if they just add it to more places, then it can be fine again.
Yeah.
But they're doing it in the order where they do this a lot, where they remove a thing and then don't add a replacement for it anywhere else for like 2 leagues, and then eventually you get it back, but just dead zone time with nothing.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough, especially if people are like used to just solving their mana issues with that way. Especially because like investing into mana regen is just not a real thing in this game right now. In the current way it's balanced, I feel like. So your options are either reducing your mana cost or playing EB or using like enduring mana pot maybe, but that's often not even enough, so and people hate it.
Yeah, mana
And
regen
lifetime,
needs
yeah.
to be like a stat on like rings or something, like as a prefix, like just flat mana regen. You know how it's on the hybrid mods, right? It needs just to be like rolled, and it has to be like a high stat so you get like 1 and solve all your mana issues. I feel like for a lot of builds, because it's like a problem right now, and some builds just can't invest that much into like mana issues. That's what I think.
I feel like
Because
mana has been a problem in this game since Expedition League. And like it doesn't
Yeah.
look like they're stopping. Like look at the Hexblast, right? They changed it this league. They literally increased mana cost by 50%, I think? Or double, one of those two. But they increased the Hexblast mana cost.
Yeah, it's up from like 21 to 30, I think.
Like I understand they want us to invest into mana, but they need to make the mana investment more appealing than it currently is.
I mean, there's just so many alternatives where you can just ignore it, right? Like, we've used live tab for leagues, and then EB became a huge thing recently because it's just so much more efficient than trying to scale mana regen on those builds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they need to give us more ways to scale like mana regen. So we don't have to, go to the cheaper alternatives. Like, we
Yeah.
can actually fix the problem. I don't mind it being a problem, but I just think there should
Like,
be
I still don't-
more solutions.
It's always like, I never understood why mana regen on those mana nodes is like 20%, and then on the ring roll like 80%. Like, why is it so weak on the tree, Like, I'm investing points that only give mana, and I'm getting like 20 mana regen for it and some percent mana. Those ones should be way stronger, like regen-wise.
I guess the argument would be that you are getting percent mana and percent regen. It's like the same reason why like
Yeah, sure,
I
then
think
give
it's
me a note that
combo
just
stamina.
says like 100% mana regen, Would
The
that
reality
be
is that
reasonable?
percent mana means very little when builds are pretty much across the board reserving 90+% of it.
Yeah, I mean,
True.
percent mana gives you more base regen though, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's so marginal.
I feel like we need strong nodes, at least behind MOM. You guys remember when we used to have them? I understand that doesn't solve necessarily the issue we are talking about, but I feel like that just needs to exist. And then I think base mana regen should be buffed, and there should be more sources of like flat mana regen in the game in general.
It's a real shame they can never put strong nodes behind a keystone ever again because of Steel Mage.
Yeah. Actually true, we will never get the nodes behind CI, never get the nodes behind MOM back. Thanks, Steel.
Hey, don't you steal his name in vain. He just gave us the best flask in the game.
You will never be able to afford it, Drew. Don't worry about it.
What do you mean? I
It's
think
gonna be like
so
50
cheap.
divines. It's gonna be like 50 divines.
I can afford 50 divines. Do I look like some scrub?
I've
can't
seen you
afford-
gamble. You can't afford anything.
What do you mean? I get like mage blood for week 1 every league.
I mean, you're gonna get it this league. You even added a card for you, right?
I'm done. I'm out of this podcast, guys. I'm
I
leaving.
can't wait for those turn-in clips, man. It's gonna be
Same.
glorious.
Like people are literally gonna be insane getting IRL when they get like a 2 or 3 plasma bloods. It's gonna be so good.
Do we know all of those new boss uniques from the
We don't know
race?
We don't know the Searing Exarch unique from Neki yet. I don't think anything about it has been leaked. If someone in chat can type what the unique does, we can talk about it, but I don't think it's public information yet.
I don't think we can leak.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
go
not-
over the other ones. Well,
we can. Okay, sure.
Pale gloves are Shaper, right? From Gucci.
Impale gloves are Uber Shaper from Gucci.
Yeah.
Eater World is Junk String.
The projectiles return.
Projectiles Return, yes. That one is gonna be very interesting to explore and figure out what exactly it does. Uber
I'm
Maven.
adding
Maven- that might be the best unique out of the set, depending on how like it interacts with certain skills, which is kind of sad because I wanted his skill to be the worst, so I can make fun of him more. But
I feel like it's either gonna
sad.
be really good and work with a lot of stuff, or be completely useless and work with almost nothing. But
Maybe I
hope
can
it's
use
gonna
it
be
with
good.
Lightning Trap since they still haven't fixed the alt quality.
Wait, it still doesn't work? I remember you complaining about it like 5
I don't
leagues ago.
think so.
Then there's
Or the ring will be bugged, like Lightning Trap is, and the projectiles won't do damage on the way back with half the skills,
Oh
just
no.
arbitrarily.
There's the Uber Series Flask from Steel, the Explosive Flask. There is another flask from Maven from Ben. That one is interesting. It's if it actually just scales additively with Petrified Blood, you might be able to become immune to hit damage.
no, it's not
Is
additive.
this scalable with Flask Effect, by the way?
I would assume so, but it might just
It
take
has
the
a
higher
number
number.
on it.
No, Ben confirmed it already.
What did he say? That it doesn't stack with
It's not
Petrified Blood?
additive.
Oh, it's multiplicative with Petrified.
Yes,
That's still really strong.
it's a lot less stronger
It
than
is
it was.
definitely way weaker though.
Yeah, it's way, way, way weaker.
The fact that you
I mean,
cannot
it-
reach
you
100% is...
Just scale Flask Effect and skip Petrified Blood, and you have a character that doesn't have half its life reserved, and you're still getting the Petrified Blood effect.
Let me just go get 300% blast effect real fast.
I mean, you don't need to be immune, right? Like, even if it's like
No.
60%, it's still really, really strong.
You have 100 Flask Effect, and half the hit damage turns into dots. That's crazy.
And then you get some recoup to like contract it. Like it's still a strong flask, and it's an amethyst, which is pretty good. Like most builds are not kept chaos rest by default. Having it solid. It's definitely strong on the power level, but I'm not sure how much it will get used.
Someone has to make a build for it. This is not going to be something that's just going to be someone picks it off the ground like, Steel's Flask, and they just slap it on their build and it's automatically GG.
You just get Stasis Prison. Easy.
Yeah, and that jewel is really good too. Jewel is
Duration
insanely
Doctrine.
strong.
This jewel
Yeah,
is
that thing is
nuts.
crazy.
I think the insane part about this jewel is that you don't even need to have balanced attributes for it to be good.
Yeah, all you need is you don't
need
even care.
int to be highest, ideally.
Yep.
I would say.
Am I supposed to know what Profane Ground does? I've never heard that before. Is it already in the
Some
game?
Shitty unique shield. I forget what it's called. Like Chaos Warband shield or something, I think. It's like -10 res and 1% base crit chance.
Like an offensive thing?
But
Yeah.
Profane
Conk
Ground.
Ground is so good though.
Reduce
Maybe you can
all
get that from
resistance by
anywhere
10% and increase chance to be critically hit by 1% base crit. That's what it does.
You're basically an Inquisitor, and freaking as long as you on one jewel.
You are a Scion, right? Basically. Well, no, you are. Yeah, I guess you are just Inquisitor. True.
You're Inquisitor now.
You need
and
to
one
generate
freaking jewel.
consecrated ground if you don't have balanced stats, which is
there a-
fine. You can
a
just
body
press
armor
Sulfur
mod?
Flask, right?
Wait, why?
If you don't have balanced stats, you need a way to generate consecrated ground. If you have
Zealotry.
Zealotry, Sulfur Flask, Body Armor mod, or even Trigger Purifying Flame,
Consecrated Path movement skill.
or you just balance your stats and then you get it without any of the other stuff. Like this is insane if you play it with a leadership.
I don't understand. I don't understand why you have to do that.
So you
You
have
have to balance it, but strength is to be your highest for that. Right? That's not a given.
You just have to have strength be highest if you want Conk Ground, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it lingers 4 seconds.
that is true, but I feel like you would want int to be highest, right? Like,
Yeah,
I-
int is higher prio because
So
there's
the-
no other sources of profane basically.
Yeah,
Oh.
and the effect that lingers even if your strength isn't the highest. So you just need a different way
Yeah.
to generate consecrated ground, and you're basically
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
the full
yeah,
effect, even if you just have int as highest.
I mean,
This jewel is
honestly,
insane.
You can
they
you
could
can get
delete
it.
the Profane Ground lines and this jewel would be insane anyway.
They could split this jewel into 2 jewels, and both of them would see use.
Yeah. And you can just get because the Timeless Finder is such a thing in trade. You could just get the Timeless Jewel that gives you ailment immunity too, and it like combos with this like so well on like so many builds. It's gonna be crazy.
Is that
Yeah, I
element
guess you
immunity
do
on
update.
consecrated ground, or what?
Yeah,
what
there's
was-
ailment immunity and consecrated ground on Militant Faiths,
Oh, okay.
and it's like really easy to find now because you have the Finder.
I don't know where it was. They posted an update about the ailment immune stuff from that those new unique jewels like that
Waggle,
shop
you
one.
you ratted us out, Waggle. I know it was
I
you.
didn't rat anyone
You
Oh,
out.
yeah.
snitched.
They did the same thing as with CI, right? You are like immune, but you still like it.
They just
It makes
said
you
that
immune
stuff
to
that
shock,
makes
but it
them
doesn't
immune.
give you avoidance anymore.
Well, I think they were basically. I don't know, I could have misread it. It sounded like they were saying that's already how it worked. They just changed the wording on the character sheet to not be misleading into making you think that it had 100 avoidance.
How do you guys feel about those jewels, by the way? Those look pretty good, right?
The shock one's good.
Even the other one, if you just use the Pantheon, is like decent. Like it's not obviously it's not like insane, but it's decent, I think.
I hate the duration one because there's bosses that have increased duration. So even if you get 100 reduced,
Yeah, that
you'll
is
fight
true.
like Sirius and you'll get shocked anyway or frozen anyway because he has like 200% increase.
The shock
And
one
he's
is
gone.
less.
You
insane
can go on
though.
PoEDB to look at them.
Yeah.
PoEDB. So very. What's the name of the jewels? Do you guys remember? PoEDB. Something.
It's all under the unique section in
I
PoEDB,
found
right?
it,
It's
yeah.
right there.
Oh shit.
These are the ones we are talking about, right? The
Yeah.
Storm Shroud and
Storm Shroud and Fire Song.
Yep.
yeah, the Fire
then
Song
they'll
is
probably
definitely
get
not
all
as
one.
good. But the Storm Shroud, especially because they reworked like Abyssal and stuff, right? You can get 50%, or you can use the essence that gives you like 60% to avoid shock. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's so
easy
easy
to
to
cap
cap.
one element, and it gives you a little bit of lightning res, which is definitely decent. This seems really, really strong in general. I think you will see this in a lot of endgame builds.
For sure. Is this from the league mechanic, or where does this thing drop?
I think it's
Do we
just a
know?
global drop.
I think they said global.
Yeah, all of them are global
No.
drops, no?
Then there is Witchbane. I don't know if you guys saw
They
this
only
jewel.
list like 7 jewels that are no global drops.
The
Or was
ones,
it-
yeah,
Those are the old ones.
the
Okay,
old
I
ones,
see.
but there's new ones. There's Witchbane that says when you kill an enemy affected by a non-aura hex, become immune to curses. Do you guys think you will use that? It's curse immunity for 1 jewel. That is
Yeah,
like,
only after you kill an enemy though.
yeah,
Maybe
it's
if
not for
curse on
bossing,
hit, you kill
but
one mob.
for mapping it's always up, right?
Well, if you
The
got
thing is,
curse
for
on hit, yeah.
bossing, you don't need curse immunity for bossing, so it's
Yeah.
fine that it's only for mapping. It's a cool one for sure for builds that like might struggle. Like if you're not over capped on your res or something, you don't want to deal with that shit.
I think it's good in hardcore. I don't know if support people will value
I
it
like
as
it.
highly.
I like how they put just 10 random stats on a jewel for no reason.
You know
Like,
what it
they
does
put-
though? It makes running like map mods a lot easier. Right? Like there's a lot of map mods you will just ignore with this jewel.
True. Very true.
I think it's gonna see a lot of use in general. It's just a high quality of life too. People love quality of life in general, so it's just
Yeah.
Jewel is very contested slot, so we'll see.
And those global jewels, they're supposed to be really good now, right? I think
Yeah.
it's good enough to be on that level, probably.
I mean, we have to see all the other ones, right? I'm expecting all the other ones to be super overpowered too.
Same.
What do you mean, all other ones? How many more are there?
Actually,
A lot.
are you
right?
sure about that? Because they released like 1 red, 1 green, 1 blue. Are we expecting more jewels?
There
You're
should
not
be
gonna
a gold
delete every
one.
single jewel, only add 3 jewels, right? No way, dude.
I don't know,
No
man.
effing way they're gonna
chill.
do that. Wait, how many in the patch notes they said they're gonna release how many new uniques?
That's what I was about to
Just
go
count.
look at.
We need to count, boys. We need to count.
Wait.
It says over 15. It doesn't even have a number. It just
Over
says over
15.
15.
And we have at
See,
least
I'm-
we have 10 plus. There's at least 4 bosses, so there's gonna be 3 more boss uniques,
Wait, there's only Nyx?
and Nyx is missing.
we don't know if each of the like
We
you're
already
assuming-
have Zizzes.
Yeah, we have this. Yeah, it's only
That's all of them.
Nyx has not announced. I guess not.
Yeah.
The
Just saying
bosses
the
could
league
not
mechanic.
don't have to have their own drop necessarily.
Yeah, they might overlap.
What do you guys think
I
of
thought there
the curse ring, by the way? The curse limit is equal to your maximum power charges.
I think it's a really cool thing to build around. Except it's gonna have like mere tier drop rates.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm never gonna see it
Yeah,
anyway, probably.
It's another buff to supports, by the way. But I think it's cool that they are like. I would rather have good uniques in this game that I will never see, but they exist in like Trade League, than just uniques be like kind of mediocre, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
I agree.
Oh yeah, speaking of uniques, the unique weapon buffs. How do you guys feel about those in general? That is something that I feel like should
Like
be
the
talked
idea a
about.
lot. Yeah, they needed buffs badly. Wish they would have done this ages ago.
Which one are you the most excited for? And don't say Void Forge.
I kind of like the bow. I'm blanking on the name. Chaos Bow.
Rift.
Well, Taxi Grift.
For
Yeah.
fuck's sake.
You can battle mage with it now. Might be actually really good.
I like how a lot of people are like, oh dude, it's time to play Spark when they saw the buff. Instead of like, oh, it's time to play Lightning Arrow. Or like any like elemental bow skill. I don't know. I think most of the uniques are really strong. If it's like 8 out of 10 are actually really strong from the revoked ones. I mean, we can quickly go over them. Like Atsuri's favorite got insanely buff that looks solid. High weapon range, extra quality on support gems and whatnot. It drops now from Uber again. How rare do you guys like? They said it's gonna be super rare, right? Are we thinking it's gonna be 1% drop, 2% drop, or
Probably
like way less than that?
1%. There's already the gloves at like 2%, right?
I think gloves are
The-
actually
the,
1%.
the shield is even lower than 2% already. I think that there's already so many red drops on Uber.
So are we expecting like 1 in 100, right? We are not expecting like 1 in 500 or 1 in 1,000, some memes like that.
I don't know. Chris said Mage Blood rarity, so
It made me
I'm
a little worried
scared.
for sure.
yeah, when he says it's Mage Blood rarity on the boss drop,
But that could
Uh,
also
how-
just be like to not hype us up too much, but then like you actually drop it and you are really happy and you think like you drop something super rare, right?
I mean, I'm hoping that was just hyperbole. Surely not all of these uniques are actually that rare because they're not nearly as strong, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. I think Disfavor, solid, very strong. Like if you drop it, it's probably better than your weapon, unless you play Trade League. But even in Trade League, but at the end of the day, it's still like a fizz weapon. I don't know how
no,
good it
that
actually
thing
is.
that thing could be really strong depending on builds because some of the all quality support gems actually
Yeah,
do a
that's
lot,
nuts.
like Divergent Pulverize and
Chance to
freaking,
Bleed,
like,
right?
Chance to Bleed. Yeah, they're freaking insanely strong.
I mean, it's super
Like-
unique, right? So there's always a chance this becomes super good. Maybe later on, even if it's
Plus
just
the
nothing
weapon
right now.
range. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely good. And it needed a buff for sure. Like they did a decent job by moving it to normal Atzere. Like it was like okay, but it's definitely way more iconic to be as an like Uber drop and be actually good. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with the rework.
I like this too.
Benos just hits a lot more flat. I think
Super whatever.
I personally I'm not excited about it, but I saw a bunch of people be excited about it. I don't think daggers are that good, especially Nightblade nerf and whatnot. I don't think it's gonna get used much. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like missing some potential there, but it didn't look exciting to me. I don't know if like Waggle or Rue have any ideas with Benos.
I've never used the Benos in a build for a attack build ever. It's always been some sort of like spell build or like spell poison build.
Yeah, nothing has changed for that, so. Bloodseeker. This is one I'm really excited about actually. I think dual wield builds with Overleech and Bloodseeker are super cool. Like you use 2 different weapons, one for Overleech and one for Instant Leech. I think those have a lot of potential. I don't know if it's gonna be good enough as a Fist Claw, especially with like Nightblade nerfs and whatnot. But I think that claw will actually see use. Like I don't know if you guys played back then when we had. I mean, I know Waggle played. I don't know if Rue or Manni played with old Wild Pack much. I mean, people
I
love
think
that
Overleech
stuff.
works with that, does it?
You can Overleech with a dual wield
Because the Bloodseeker only gives instant leech on it.
on the hit with
okay,
Bloodseeker,
okay.
so you can dual wield and have 12.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, we already had life gain on hit on claws, which already felt pretty similar. I don't know. Don't think it's gonna be very big.
You really don't think so? Like, I feel like you're
No,
gonna
this
get
is-
a lot more than just
Yeah,
like
this
in
is
on
a
it.
lot more.
I mean, how much can you leech from an instant now?
I
It's
think
not like
it's-
you can't go 0 to full. I know that. They like changed how it works. It's like some limit.
Is there? I thought it was like 20% per hit, maybe. Maybe I'm gonna try to check real quick.
Switch chat says
10%.
10% max.
10%? Hmm.
I mean,
Maybe
that's
it's not
still
that good
really
then.
hot.
But it is good. That's like 500 per hit.
That's still really good.
Plus you can scale it, right? Like Slayer.
You can skill that mod.
We'll see. I mean, if it says 500 life gain on hit, that's an implicit. Or like a 400 fizz DPS claw, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, but it's nice that it's there. I don't think it's gonna be
I don't think it's like a mage bot tier.
relevant
but
though.
I think it's like a tier 1 unique. Like, I think it's good for that. Also, if you find it early, or if you play Trade League and you're playing like a claw build, I mean, it's a very solid. Like, crafting fist claws is like impossible. This actually allows for the build to exist without having to craft a claw.
I think a lot of these weapons are going to be dirt at Leaguestart, even though they're rare as hell, because there's like no builds that are like, who's going to play Fizz Daggers or Fizz Claws?
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I'm
you have to
thinking.
have
Like,
a-
what skill do you even play, right?
That's a good
Like,
thing, though,
or,
right?
like-
Like, if you want to play with it, you will actually be able to make a decent build with it, probably, if you have an idea.
Yeah, this is like I feel like one of those, you know, it's gonna be like someone's wet dream because they play like these like weird ass builds, right? And then they're just gonna get like one of these like top tier weapons for like 5C.
There's gonna be some people playing Blade Fury with this, surely.
And Flicker.
And Flicker, yeah. Even Cyclone is like too low AoE probably.
Cyclone wants that disfavor.
Yeah. Divinarius. What do you guys think of Divinarius? 200% spell damage.
I like that it has the AoE identity back. Because that's what I remember this dagger for. You know, it's the AoE dagger, and now it has like a significant amount of AoE again.
It's pretty comparable with like really, really good rares, right? Like 200% spell damage, 30% AoE, 250 crit chance, and that's only if you killed recently, and then 100% crit multi if you haven't. That's solid.
Yes.
Like if it's like
a 5 mod rare or something.
Yeah, if you can get it for like less than 5 divines, like if it's somehow like cheap on Leaguestart, it would be insane.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just don't think it's gonna be that cheap. I think a lot of people are gonna see 200 spell damage and 100 multi, and it's gonna. Be
Generally, uniques are overpriced, right? Just because they are easy to get or like easy to use and see the power compared to rares.
Yep.
So it might just be expensive. You might be right. Essential.
And all it takes is.
I don't think it's everywhere.
One streamer.
That's true. All of these uniques, if they're actually rare, like all it takes is like one build guide, right?
Yeah, one build guide, one streamer, one cuck to tell you what to play, and you're done.
The Essential Claw, it got buffed, but I think it's still like really bad. Like it's just worse than like a random Ellie Claw. That one I just don't see the appeal of.
It's cool. It's just ES builds are.
I feel like
still
if you want to play
pretty much
ES
in the
build, you
gutter.
just play Trickster, right? And if you play Trickster, you don't really have a use for it. I don't know.
Do you not?
I thought.
I forget what's on Trickster always.
I mean, you get Overleach on Trickster, so that's what the claw would be good for, right?
Isn't it very hard to craft something better if you're looking for a lightning claw? I mean, a rare has like hits can't be evaded, I guess, and
I guess
slightly
if you
better
want
crit.
only lightning, then maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's for, obviously.
So instead of playing like Trinity, you would just go lightning. Is lightning grows lucky? Play like EO or precise technique.
Yeah, or for a Doyani build, right?
True. Okay. Maybe I'm underestimating it. Maybe it's not that bad. Kingmaker. I don't think people will use Kingmaker
Yeah, it's
much.
whatever. Nobody's gonna use this as their
It's
main
like
weapon.
It's like a decent fist weapon.
The support stat stick still.
Yeah. You know what it's good for though? It's good for Animate Guardian. Like if you're playing the Animate Guardian animate weapon with the Chains of Command or whatever, and you use Rallying Cry. I don't know if it was you who mentioned it or someone. Like for that, it could be cool.
No, you do Void Forge.
No. You would hold the Kingmaker for Rallying Cry.
Oh no, you hold Moroi.
Or that, and then you use Void Forge on your guide. That's true.
You hold Moroi with like 1200 top end fizz or whatever the hell it has, and you hit Rallying Cry.
What else is there? Kitava's Feast, kinda irrelevant, I think. I don't know why they consider that a buff. Lioness Glare. That will still use, I think. Like a lot of use.
That bow was already pretty good.
Decent
But
starter
bows
bow.
are just.
Now it's just like endgame. Like endgame fist bow. Maybe not endgame, but it's pretty hard to get a better fist bow.
Yeah, I like it. Technically farmable with the diff card, but it's probably gonna be the rarest outcome by far now.
So people are buying out cards in standard to like turn in like 200 sets when the league starts to get a decent idea.
Can you just divine them after? Oh, to get an idea.
To get an idea about how much they change the diff card results, right?
No, that's smart.
Marohi buff, probably just a battle match item, realistically speaking, or like a rallying cry item. I don't think you will ever attack with a Marohi. Savior buff.
That's pretty
Insane.
huge.
It is actually pretty insane. Do you guys think it's gonna be like pure Savior builds or still Savior Paradoxica?
I think it opens up a lot more now. So it's just not a support weapon anymore. I think you could do a lot more with that sword.
It's cool to have an extra drop on Cirrus. Like, farming Cirrus, you get, like, now 2 good drops to hope for, right?
Yeah.
With Steel's Flask and this.
Yep. I think that's going to be the most profitable boss next league, with Awaken Gems going to, you know, some maps and stuff like that. Maven's no longer going to be like the top dog.
I actually think people will get Awaken Gems from maps, though. I guess if the drop rate is decent, then probably.
I mean, if it depends on the drop rates, right? But if Savior is going to be super expensive, the massive jewels are always expensive because there's like so many good massive jewels, right? And then Steel's Flask is going to be, you know, that thing is like literally good on like every single build that has trouble clearing. So
that boss is also really annoying to farm. So if you can farm it, especially early, it's going to be huge profit.
Yep.
Everyone hates that.
Yep. Yeah, and there's like cards on from that guy too.
Cortex card, right?
Yeah, it's pretty decent drop rate, right? The Cortex card. I remember farming like Cirrus, and it was dropping like every now and then. Plus like Awakener Ore, which is probably pretty cheap nowadays. I don't know. Maybe they're decent on Leaguestart. I'm not sure. I haven't really paid attention to Trade League.
Speaking of Awakener, remember when they added the new influences, like what, a year ago or something? And there were so many people saying the old influence is still better, you know, those are just going to be the early game items, and end game everyone's still going to awaken up their big items. But I feel like I haven't awakened up anything like a year. The new influence is so much better than we expected, I think. Just random thought.
Plus crafting influence items is really difficult. Right? It's like a combination of those two.
I think it's mainly the crafting thing. If we had like recombinators and harvest and stuff like that, or old harvest, like we would use influence items a lot more. There's still like a lot of good combinations for them. It's just that we don't have access to crafting to making them anymore.
Soul Taker looks solid, but then you are using a one-handed axe. I don't think it's gonna see much use. It's really good weapon though. It's like a 500 DPS weapon that ignores mana requirements and whatnot. But
chills.
And it chills, true. It's really strong, it's just you are using a one-handed fist axe. In hardcore, I think it's better than in softcore, but... Starforge? Just good, right? It's like a 800 DPS fist weapon that shocks.
Yeah.
And has life.
What's the skill, though?
Cyclone.
I want to run back a War Chief Totem Starforge build.
Oh, really?
Relive the good old days.
Would you play Champion nowadays, or Chieftain, or... Scion?
We probably do Champ.
Yeah, it's probably Champ. We don't expect any of these to be moved to Ubers, right? Like, they will drop from normal. I don't know if they said. Like, this will drop from normal Shaper, right?
I wouldn't expect it, no.
I hope
think
it's
they would have
super
mentioned
rare from normals, yeah.
Same.
Honestly, I don't even know if they will become rarer, because they're already 1 or 2% drops. I wouldn't be surprised if they just stay their way.
Copium.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like they wouldn't mention that how much rarer they made them if they were just, like, they would have said like, oh, we made some of them rarer, some of them, and buffed some other ones, right? I don't know. We'll see. Varunastra, I don't think that item has any use in this game right now.
Yeah, that needed more.
They changed the skill tree ever since when it was first introduced, there were like nodes that were giving you like claw, sword, and dagger damage. Those nodes just don't exist. There's some like what's it called? Cluster nodes that gives you like double, but it's just not good enough. Void Forge, I mean that one is strong.
That one looks fun, yeah.
I wanna play a Void Forge build. I wanna play a Void Forge Butters build, it looks sick.
That thing is gonna be so expensive. I don't think I'm gonna be able to afford one this league. I'm letting you know now.
I mean, technically it drops from Beachhead, right? Beachhead has a diff card for it, and it used to be very common.
10,000 Beachheads for one Void Forge.
It used to be like 100 beach hits or something for a set, but it's probably gonna be like 10,000 now. Yeah.
I think they said, like, they specifically said that the card is getting rarer.
Yeah.
And I assume the same is gonna be for disfavored cards and Starforge card.
Yeah, I think all the cards are getting super, super rare. They're all going to be like... I'm pretty sure that's what Chris meant when they're going to be like Mage Blood status, because they're going to... all the cards are going to be that tier of rarity.
Which tier is that?
Just
I mean,
Mage Blood card rarity.
Oh,
Like-
insane cat tier.
Oh, stop. I'm leaving.
and Voltax Grift. I mean, you guys already said that one is kind of exciting. So, I don't know. Some of the uniques don't seem like to do much, but there's a lot of exciting uniques that were reworked, I feel like. That will just create like new builds or enhance existing builds by a lot. I hope they are like rare, but not like unfarmable. If it's like literally unfarmable and there's like, you know, you open like SC trade site like 2 weeks into the league and you search Voidforge and there's like one for sale for 500 divines, it's gonna feel really lame, right? If it's like 50 divines, 100 divines for Voidforge and there's like 10 of them, then it's probably fine, but...
I mean, it's probably gonna be like a unique where you don't really try to farm it in SSF, but it's more like sometimes you get it, maybe if you're lucky, and then you're like happy and build around it, but I wouldn't really plan for it probably.
Yeah, I don't think you plan around any
I
of
think
these.
I think it'll be a little bit better than usual, like when the super rare uniques come out, because usually like when like Stasis Prison came out, right? Everybody that was like, oh, I need one for my standard collection, so I'm gonna buy one and like leave it there in my inventory. But they already have these items, so you don't have to deal with those guys.
Unique collectors, cringe.
Yeah,
True.
dude, there's so many of them.
People actually collect even in Trade League. I wasn't really aware of that, but I was looking at the unique ladder like, I don't know, a few months ago or something. There's people who have like literally every single item in the game in their like unique collection in standard.
And this
Yeah, and
patch
when
is
there's-
pretty rough for unique collectors. There's so many legacy items now. They removed so much stuff.
True. But all of those items were like pretty common, so they should have had them already, and they should be a bunch in like standard still, right?
I mean, also you also can get all these buff versions by just pressing a Divine Orb, right?
Yep.
So that's good for standard players. I actually
Until it
checked.
doesn't work.
I don't know if you guys saw Hyoi Ninja, Soul Taker price in standard. I looked at it the other day. I'm gonna find it real quick. Wait, it's not even that. I thought it was
Replica
by
Soul
more-
Taker, right?
Oh,
Because
it was yeah, Replica Soul Taker.
it gets removed from the game and has EB. It's kind of unique.
Yeah, Replica Soul Taker jumped from like 100 C to like 50,000 C for a weekend.
Casual 50,000 chaos.
Yeah.
Casual 50,000 chaos, dude.
Sounds like we're talking about like banking, where they like move around billions of dollars. That's how it sounds like to me.
Dude, standard is a
Dude, those-
crazy place.
I know people are like, oh my god.
There's probably people who were like really, really upset about the whole Divine Exalt thing, and then people who were really happy about it because they like profited from it.
Gotta diversify, bro.
Yeah, man.
True. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about the leak mechanic? I feel like we kind of covered that one, so I would think we could skip to like 3.20.
What about the
patch notes.
relics?
Oh yeah,
I think
the
those are gonna be
relics.
super rare. The ones that affect the character everywhere.
The really good ones are going to be rare. I think you'll find some. I think you'll find them pretty often once you get to like end game.
What are you gonna find? Like 17 lightning rares and 10 physical damage or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
And
they
then that guy on
obviously
Reddit's
showed the
gonna
good
have-
ones, right? But
It's all
I-
going to be tier based, right?
we will know from PoEDB, but I would assume it's gonna be tier based and weight based, right? Like they showed +1 power charge. I assume that's gonna be weighting like 0.
Yeah, I ain't going to find one of those.
What do you think about the fact that they're not tradable? Like I play SSF, so it doesn't affect me. But what do you think, Ru or Waggle?
I think that's fine. I think it's fine.
I
think-
like it.
What if you don't
Yeah.
like the league mechanic, and you feel like you have to do it to get that?
Too bad.
I mean, you can't get everything you want, right? Sometimes life just isn't fair. So
What if it goes
Oh.
to stand or like to the base game, and the next league streamer makes a build with power charges, and he says you need that thing, and you have to farm it yourself? Think that's going to be an issue?
I think they said specifically that they don't plan on bringing it, but I mean, if it were to go to base game, I don't know, man. I don't think it's gonna be that big of an issue.
I haven't seen a single mod that's game breaking. And if you can't play the game with like 20% more damage, then that's your like own injury.
Yeah, true.
Like you want 20% damage, but you don't want to work for it. So that's like, I don't know what to tell you. We can't like just like baby everyone, right?
Wasn't
Like,
there
it's
one that had
there-
like Mage Bane on it or some shit though?
Bleed the shade, yeah. Corrupted
Oh,
one.
dude.
But that's a corruption, right?
Like, that is
I
gonna
mean, that's
require you to drop.
game-changing.
Yeah, but you will have to drop one with like good stats and a corruption, and it needs to already be corrupted, and corruption is probably gonna be rare, and
No, you corrupt them. You corrupt them in the place, right? There's altars to corrupt them
oh, are you
because
sure?
they're
That's what I thought, yeah.
unmodifiable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they would just drop corrupted from like some rooms.
No. I think they just drop like normally, and then they can't be modified in any way. And then there's some altars that says there's probably going to be like you lose like 90% of your resolve, corrupt this thing or something.
It's gonna be like Scourge all over again.
Dude, I hope there's a lot of like really cool creative things in this league mechanic, because when Lake of Kalandra launched, I was really expecting there to be like really cool rooms end game or something, right? But then there was just nothing else, you know. It was all the same things that you saw in like Act 6 already.
I mean, this kind of looks similar from what we
I
have
really
seen.
hope that it has.
I'm pretty sure-
that like roguelike kind of experience where if you just get really, really lucky with power ups early on, that you just become a fucking god and just giga blast the whole thing.
It
I feel
should.
like we have seen like 3 different rooms so far. Hopefully there's more, but if there's like 3 or 4 different rooms, that's not that exciting, right? Like it is gonna get old eventually.
Yeah, I guess the boons and stuff, they make the runs different though, so at least there's some diversity, you know. With the lakes, I felt like I was doing the same lake every time. It felt exactly the same, pretty much. I mean, beating the lake will not be a big challenge. Surely it will be better than that.
That is true. But that is setting the bar very low. Do you guys think the bosses will be hard? Like, or cool in general? Like, for example, Expedition was a league that had really good bosses, right? Are we expecting that, or are we expecting like nothing? Because we didn't really have, I guess Scourge had bosses, but they were kind of lame. We didn't really have like league mechanic bosses in a long time now.
I think they're gonna be kind of different with the resolve mechanic being a thing. Like, the way you play them, I think, is gonna be a lot about dodging their telegraph mechanics and stuff. It's gonna play different than regular PoE bosses, where sometimes you just outgear them and just face tank them, right, or something like that. Might feel a bit different.
I think after 3.19, GGG has one singular goal, which is to give you the best league possible this league. So I think they're going to be cool.
They're pretty heavy focus too. Like they kind of put a lot of emphasis on the boss fight. So I would hope that they've done at least like expedition levels of work on the league mechanic bosses, which I think they will.
I expected like nothing from Expedition bosses, but they are all really well designed. Like especially
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
the 2 ones with the separate rooms, but they're all like pretty good.
I think we've seen 2 bosses, right? The Candle guy, and we've seen the Crimson Township boss, basically.
I think
Like
they
a copy of
showed
that.
a bunch. Maybe in the like initial trailer, I think there was like a couple seconds of like multiple bosses. That's what it looked like. At least it might not have even been bosses. I think it was in like that initial trailer though, just like little split seconds of it.
I mean, that teaser like couple of weeks ago.
They
Or
did say there's
last
4
week.
bosses, right? They didn't say more than that. I'm pretty sure they said.
They
4
said there's
different
4
bosses.
boss rooms
Oh, 4 bosses.
Yeah, they said 4
because there's
boss
4
rooms.
floors. with a boss at the end.
Really
And
hope.
there's a mini bosses and big bosses, right? I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least 3 big bosses because they're not going to like just put one boss at the end of every single room and they're just be like, oh, it's the same shit over and over again, right? There's going to be at least 3.
I really
Usually
hope.
there's more than the 4.
And then like I'm pretty sure floor 1 through 3 is going to be like mini bosses.
I hope it's not the same same boss order every time.
No, there's not. I don't think it's going to be like that.
My
Like,
guess is that there's going to be a pool of, like, say, 5 different bosses for floor 1, and it chooses a random one of those.
Yeah,
Kinda like
that's
You
Slay
played
the
Slay the Spire, right, Ventura?
Yeah.
Like, just like that.
That would be
exactly like that.
good. What do you guys think about being able to save 8 rooms at a time? Is that
It's good.
enough? That
Good amount.
should be good enough, right? Like it's 1 for floor. Should feel pretty good.
Considering
Yeah.
I think you get 1 room per like map, right?
Yeah, it's
So it's
already
8 maps you can stock up. I think it's a good amount.
Especially since it's hopefully not rippy, right? Because I would hate to do something rippy every 8 maps and then like, lose my XP. Or have to respec into like a defensive setup or something. But if it's not rippy, then I'm down to do it whenever.
I think it's going to be rippy as hell.
I think it's not gonna be like super rippy, but rippier than people expect it to be.
Yeah, people expect this thing to be like they're not even going to take damage or something, and it's just going to be like pure resolve. I think
I
resolve.
feel like
is
if I play a tanky regular build that doesn't die in maps, I shouldn't die in there either. Like obviously if you play like the super glass cannon, you might die, but I don't know. From what we've seen in the trailer, I don't really think it's going to be more dangerous than maps.
I'll be honest. I only think the resolve thing is only in the game because there's going to be people like Waggle or Dan who's just going to make a character who's just going to stand there and be like, "Oh, what a League mechanic." I think that's the only reason why resolve is actually in the game.
Well, no, what
I think it's good.
they're going with like the resolve is like an attrition thing, right? Because you outside of the special rooms or whatever interactions, you won't be able to refill it, so it needs to like attrition you down.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the resolve works. If suddenly the mobs are just insta fucking gibbing your character, then like what's the point of the resolve mechanic even existing?
Yeah, because you
It's
can
kinda
like
like-
have mage blood characters who just face tank all of the mobs mechanics, and then it pretty makes the place a joke.
I'm
Right?
not gonna balance it around mage blood characters.
I mean, the way I see it, it's designed to fail, right? You like, it's designed that
Yeah.
you don't clear it, so you're expected to die in every run until you're very, very strong. So surely you don't actually die every time, or like barely ever, really.
I mean, it's still combat effect how strong recovery is as well, right? Like Chris talked about it, where if we deal damage to you in one room, it wouldn't matter in the next room because you can always flask or regen in
Yeah,
between. But
that
this
too.
way, the damage like remains permanent. Like if you mess up in a room too, it will affect the rest of your run.
Yeah, like if you fuck up one fight or something and take a lot of hits, normally you wouldn't care because you just heal up.
It sounds
now it
interesting.
is.
I think it's gonna feel good and fun, hopefully, as long as it's like at least unique enough on every playthrough.
Yeah, idea sounds fun for sure. Gonna have to test it out though.
Just ask yourself one question, okay? When's the last league a league was undertuned that did not one-shot you? And when's the last time a league was overtuned and then you just died a lot?
Sentinel was
Let's
easy.
Sentinel was
Sentinel at Leaguestart,
well-tuned.
literally, it was not easy. Sentinel at Leaguestart.
I played
Yeah,
Sentinel.
because-
Archnemesis
Yeah,
destroyed
because
everyone.
Archnemesis was so strong, right? And then people empowered the Archnemesis guys too.
But that's an example of like mobs are overtuned, right? It felt bad last league. It felt bad in Sentinel.
I think
Did it
this
feel
is
bad in
different,
Archnemesis?
so.
Like it felt bad for people in Scourge. It felt bad for people in Expedition. Like when's the last time you thought you were gonna just survive? Let me tell you the answer to that. Never.
I mean, I think this league is
So-
exactly the answer to that, right? Like,
Yeah.
they have to make
No,
them
it's-
kind of hard so that they're challenging later, but then you just die to them early on when you're weak still. But now this is the solution.
Copium.
I think the idea is what Manny is saying, though. it might not play that way, but that is the idea.
Yeah, I mean they might mess it up, but like the principle is to solve the problem we just talked about. Like this league mechanic should feel fine even if your character is weak, because you fail it, sure, but you don't actually die to it.
I don't know, guys. I would rather expect this league to be overtuned than undertuned when it comes to needing defense, like every other league in the past.
I'm
Better to
expecting
be go
hardcore
in
characters
prepared.
to not die in there. Like, I'm expecting to fail rather than die on a hardcore build.
You're gonna
Yeah.
log out before you die anyways, Ventura.
All of these
True.
curses, right? They don't actually give them extra damage or something. It's all about resolve stuff, right? Not like they get extra map mods or like.
I saw
make
like
them-
action speed, I think.
Okay, that's kind of like easier to be hit though and lose resolve. It's not really something that just. I'm just worried that if I pick up like 5 curses and they all give them like 100% damage, then we get gipped. But there are no such curses, right? We haven't seen any of those.
Don't think we have.
So like the difficulty against our actual character, it shouldn't really scale that much. It's just that our resolve gets hit harder or something or more often when we pick up a lot of curses and scale it difficult.
I think it's gonna be fun. I hope it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna do it while leveling, for sure. I think it's gonna be nice to like get used to the league mechanic, and I don't know if it's gonna be rewarding while leveling, but if there's like no race or anything, I might as well explore it. I don't know if you guys plan to do it while leveling at all. I guess in trade league it probably feels kind of bad to waste your time, but
If it's like substantially bad rewards, I'll probably start skipping it, but I'm definitely planning on looking at it while leveling too.
Well, I hope I'll find it once before maps in Ruthless.
supposedly it's gonna be every second map, Manni, in Ruthless.
Oh, damn.
I assume the rewards will be tuned down appropriately, but it's supposed to be every second map.
That's
That's kind of
ruthless.
insane. That's way better than I expected. Actually
And
get to play the league, dude.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
the last thing I heard. I don't know if they changed on that, but that's what they were planning initially. How did you
Sounds
guys
good.
feel about 3.20 patch in general? Like I guess the like skill balance changes, because we covered the other changes, but skill balance changes or like the lack of them. How did you guys feel about that?
I don't
At this point, I'm
understand.
used to it, man. I'm not disappointed anymore.
I don't understand why they nuked Helix out of existence. I didn't think it needed a nerf, period, and it got nerfed the hardest besides Nightblade.
You know what
Everything
I
else
don't
kinda
understand?
made sense.
The lightning conduit nerf, personally. I thought that skill was like EA tier. It's just like good, but like nothing like insane. It feels like a lot of these nerfs were like done around like Doriani prototype existing. I don't know. Like same for Helix, like Silver Pro stuff maybe. Like Helix was strong, don't get me wrong, but
Helix to me, because of how the skill works mechanically, it has to be strong. If it's not like, I don't know, borderline OP, it's gonna feel so bad. And I think that's where it's gonna be now.
I mean, the thing is, I did some math on Helix, and I'm pretty sure it's still better than like most attack skills. That's the sad part, even with 40% less damage.
We guys have preferred if they didn't do those changes? Because I personally feel like it's still better to have those nerfs than nothing.
I feel like nerfs should always be accompanied by buffs. I don't mind
I think
the nerfs.
Nightblade had to happen.
I think they nerfed
Nightblade-
Nightblade in a wrong way.
Yeah, they definitely did Nightblade in the wrong way. They're pretty. I don't know what the right word for this. They're very attached to Nightblade. Like they don't want to nerf it for some reason. It's like someone's baby or something. Like they could just straight up nerf Nightblade, but they went out and they nerfed like everything else that's related to Withering Step. And those builds are already like struggling. A lot of those builds were already struggling. Like Assassin got indirectly nerfed because of Nightblade. Like
Assassin
I don't
and
know what they
Badge,
were doing
right?
there.
It's the two things. that
Yeah,
got nerfed.
like Badge Assassin. and then like a lot of casters. Like for builds that, like let's say if you were playing like a chaos build that relied on withering step, right? To like a chaos hit build, right? That relied on withering step to wither. You can't even do that anymore if you have like some way to proc elusive,
Oh
right?
yeah, I guess that's true.
It's like it just killed a lot of ways for people to play their builds because of a singular thing that they don't want to just nerf directly. It's so weird. It's so much collateral damage for no reason.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't. Like, I agree with Nightblade nerf. It was needed for a long time now. It's just the way they went about it was incorrect. I know.
You know, Nightblade, even with the nerfs, is still like a 50%, 60% more damage support gem.
It's still insane.
I mean,
people are
that's still
saying
good. That's fine. Is that assuming you're like investing in elusive effect and stuff?
Yeah.
To some
Yeah,
degree.
that is.
Yeah, like that's fine. It's just what was it before? Wasn't it like 150 borderline percent?
It's
it's
about
like
half
just-
of the effectiveness now what it used to be. A little over half.
Yeah,
Like 60%
Nightblade
of what
was-
it used to be.
Yeah, it's a 4-point investment, so it's not even really that bad because you take one of the claw nodes anyways. So
What about Seismic? You guys agree with GGG? Let's talk about it. Like, do we really feel like Seismic is a problem outside of racing?
No. Temp chains is the problem right now.
I personally think pre 3.19, if they did this, it would have been fine. But since they buffed Obliteration and Seismic now has AoE clear around Exile,
Yeah.
so they can literally nuke all the rares to the ground. Now Seismic is like an S tier build, and giving an S tier build, you know, even more damage is not the best thing. I don't think a lot of people realize like how good that build is with Obliteration instead of versus without. For
Yeah, I
clear.
think if you played Seismic beforehand, before like we started using Obliteration on it, you would think it's just like, it's good for bossing, but like kind of mediocre map clear. With Obliteration, it's like a solid, very solid mapper, right?
Yeah, it's like S tier. As long as you scale enough, like global poison
Poison
chance,
chance,
right?
yeah.
Because as soon as like Obliteration pops off, like it's just gonna poison everything around, and then it's just gonna. It's
And then
just gonna
there's-
own.
I think people underestimate the clear, but they also overestimate the damage of it. Like people seem to believe, some people at least seem to believe that Seismic just deletes everything for free, you know. But it's
I
not
kinda
even.
agree.
That
I think it's
great
like the
damage.
best bossing build, mostly because of mechanics. The damage on Seismic is not even
Yeah.
that high. Like, it's good damage, but like Explosive Trap just does more. It's just mechanically worse, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think even Cold Dot's gonna outscale Seismic on bossing once you get enough gear, honestly.
No way, dude. Let me do my Karn voice real fast.
I mean, Coldot is gonna be very strong for hardcore standards for sure. Like,
Cold Dot's less vulnerable to boss bullshit where they like phase and cuck your damage.
also, like even like a 5 mil Coldot feels like insane for bossing. So like I could definitely see Coldot. Like Coldot was already strong. It was underplayed a bit.
The
but people
curse is
started
the
playing
big
it.
buff to it, right? Or is there anything
Yeah.
else?
Curses, yeah.
So do you run like double damage curse on it?
You already did. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It just strictly added like 40% more
Do you add a third one now?
on
Like
occultist. You would like enfeeble blasphemy maybe,
Yeah.
but on
I think it would
Elementalist,
be
you
enfeeble if you added one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are underestimating the fact that Seismic was already a build that you didn't get hit on, and now I got temp chains on the boss. Do you guys realize that? Like it's like literally like Cold Out was good on bossing, right? Because it had like basically a max slow on the boss, and now Seismic is literally gonna
Same thing,
have
yeah.
that too.
Yeah, because it's
Seismic was pretty close though, wasn't it, with the Skitterbot chill
Nah,
and
you
stuff?
had 12%
'cause
kill.
Yeah.
Skitterbots is only 12% or something.
Oh, I'm thinking of the shock. I think the shock was like
Yeah,
20.
Shock is like 19 or 18.
Okay.
I was thinking the same thing the other day, but Chill was only 12, so now you will have like
Yeah.
25 or something out of 30, so
It's gonna be insane, and then people don't even realize how strong you're gonna be.
and especially in hardcore where dem chains is like actual real damage. Because in softcore you probably face it before your poison runs out often. But in like in hardcore and on Ubers, the damage is gonna be like higher than it has ever been. It's just gonna be like duration damage. So it's not gonna be like good damage for mapping. It's gonna be the same as it is now, which is good enough. And then for bossing, it's gonna have a lot of extra dam.
I mean, you actually get 20% more DPS on boss on. No, what did they fix about this mastery or the faster damage?
If you actually took that mastery, you will have about 20% more damage. Yeah.
Is it DPS or like duration damage though?
Duration damage.
Okay, so it's not really above the maps then. But you pretty much always take that mastery now, right? With temp chains and extending your poisons forever, you have to take it now.
The thing is, like, I don't think it's a big problem for base game. Like, if someone wants to play Seismic as a solid build, it will work. And if it's banned in Gauntlet, kind of mitigates the problem with Seismic.
It just seems so random that Helix gets a numeric nerf, but Seismic doesn't, you know? Lightning
Seismic
Conduit
got
gets number nerf.
Last patch though, right?
Yeah, okay. But
so like,
why not again?
I probably thought it's enough because there was 0.2% playing it. Like GGG doesn't look at necessarily skill strength, more like how much is played.
True.
Yeah, but I feel like they're just not. You know, like most people who play Seismic Trap, they're like hardcore SSF players, right? And I don't know, not everyone likes running like Obliteration and has like very properly like geared like character for clearing efficiently, right? So I feel like as soon as people see like a build that can like basically melt bosses and clear maps like super well, right? That's gonna change a lot of people's minds. Because last league, like a lot of people just quit like instantly, right? After like a few days, and not many people saw what that build could do with the changes.
I mean, these changes, a lot of them apply to any poison build though, in general, right? It's not just Seismic, like these stem chains buffs. And like obliteration buffs from last league.
Like the occultist poison builds that like revolve around Plaguebearer and Despair Blasphemy, they got hit kind of hard with the occultist nerfs and blasphemy nerf. Like they kind of evens out for those. Seismic just got strictly buffed though, because they're not occultists. They don't use blasphemy or hex touch.
Yep.
Do you guys feel like Lightning Strike nerf was deserved?
Yeah. Dude, it's been played for so long. You can probably go back to like 313 or 15 or something. It was already like one of the most popular builds.
Do you think the nerf
just
was
for the sake of shifting the meta?
correct? Like nerfing the projectiles rather than like damage?
Well, I mean, the ones that were doing really high damage were almost exclusively using Nightblade, right? So the damage got hit in that regard.
That's true. I mean, it's gonna be solid. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I should be saying that. I think it's gonna be playable still, but I don't know how like. I don't think it's gonna be meta anymore. I think if you want to make Lightning Strike work, you will be able to, but I don't think it's gonna be meta anymore.
I think you replace it with Molten Strike.
Probably. Molten Strike looks good. Like I played Molten Strike in Archnemesis League, I think, and it felt good even there.
I mean, Molten Strike's clear is going to be pretty sweet, right? If you just click Wild Molten Strike every second pack or something. It only costs like, what, 15 souls? 6 or 8 second cooldown? You can probably spam that shit while mapping.
Yeah, but Molten Strike lost the 30% strikes range or Ancestral Call range, and that hurts. That hurts a lot. It hurts a lot, dude.
So are you telling me the problem with melee builds is now that they're actually melee instead of being ranged?
Yes.
Obviously.
No, I mean, I get it. It definitely will feel a lot worse. I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where like if something is not melee enough, it's like that's not melee. But if something is actually melee, it's like that's unplayable. So I'm not really sure what people want from that. I don't even know how you fix that problem in general.
You have to use Disfavor now.
I don't know if there is a fix to this.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's just like the way how the game has evolved, right? So it's a very hard problem to solve, and I feel like the only band-aid solution is to make melee less melee for now and have like a problem, like a solution for it later. But without like something drastic happening to the game, I don't think that problem gets fixed. It's just there's too many things.
Considering, like, it almost doesn't even matter what you're doing. The majority of the time you spend playing the game is like clearing and mapping. If the game is gonna stay as fast paced as it is, melee can never actually be melee unless it just wants to be unplayably behind.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Fast.
maybe a solution could be like adding some kind of different content that has like a different niche, right? So where melee could actually be best, and then they have like their own niche to do. Like, I don't know, they could, if there was some content where you wouldn't have to clear much.
They're trying
Like,
that
even
with Forbidden Sanctum, right? You will lose less resolve if you're in melee range.
Yeah, maybe that's
Here's-
gonna be where melee is really good at.
Okay, here's what I'm hoping, guys. Don't spam copium, okay? Like, have you guys seen
Retapped.
the Diablo 4 videos where like all of combat is basically Quinn combat? I hope once Chris experiences that, PoE will go back into like won't go back to that direction, because that should look pretty awful, dude. Like, just spamming a strike skill on a single monster like 18 times in a row and like half a minute to kill. Oh man, dude.
That's
I'm
exactly
not
what
looking
Chris
forward-
wants, though.
Dude,
Isn't that what like Ruthless is supposed to be, and like what like Chris? I feel like that's exactly what he would like. But at the same time, I don't think Chris
dude.
makes these decisions anyways. So I don't think it's about him.
I don't know if you guys seen the videos, but
I have seen some D4 videos and they don't look very good. It looks like bad
supposedly,
Lost Ark.
supposedly the announcement is coming out like tomorrow or something, right?
Oh, is it?
They tweeted something about December 8th. I didn't look into what the hell it meant.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
not coincidence, is it?
Of course not.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence. They
mean,
literally want
today-
to hijack some PoE light.
They let some like press outlets, I think, post like gameplay videos today.
Yeah, lots of gameplay trailers. Sorry for I'm going off topic, but
It's fine.
dude,
Still
that's
related
basically
to you.
like, it's like exactly what Ruthless is supposed to be, I guess.
You guys, speaking of Ruthless, we can talk about it briefly. I know Manni is starting it.
I mean, I'm the one hyped for it, but I'm the one who hasn't played it yet. But I think you guys played it, right?
I played it
Nope.
and it felt better than I expected it to feel. I thought it would be unplayable initially, but it ended up being okay. It's definitely something you would want to commit to like longer term, or just play it till like level 80 and then quit and never touch it again.
Yeah.
It's like a new puzzle. That's like the part that's interesting to me. But other than that, like, it's very limiting in what you can do and what you cannot do. So I don't think it will have a big success within the PoE player base. But the people who play it might actually enjoy it quite a bit. We'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I would probably like play it for like an entire league, because just playing it for like a week or two doesn't seem to have a point to me. But everything just takes so long, you know, you're not really getting anywhere.
How did you feel about it, Waggle, overall?
I mean, it looks interesting, but realistically for me, I think unless like a league was a complete flop, just like the regular content stuff in the regular game's going to be more appealing. So I think I'm mostly just looking at it from like, honestly, just like the streamer side of things, where it's like, yeah, this will be a really good thing where like if I'm bored of the league, I can pump a few more weeks of PoE stuff out and actually have fun doing something different.
Yeah, I was thinking playing a normal game, Gauntlet, and then after Gauntlet just play Ruthless. I feel like it's gonna end up pretty good for a bunch of PoE content creators that way.
Same. Just kidding.
I feel like you would quit Ruthless in Act 3, Ru. If you actually try to give it a try, I think you would quit in Act 3.
I don't know. That's not like my type of like. It's not like I can't play these modes, right? I just don't like them.
Yeah, I think it's...
I could play them
a lot
just fine. I just get so bored, and like I don't like grinding. It's the same thing over and over again. Like, I don't even like to do it in endgame PoE maps, right? Even though my character blows up everything. Like, it's only bearable because I just meme with chat every day. I really want something like a little different in PoE. Stuff that I have to like, I don't know.
I think Ruthless
Hopefully
is
this
different,
expansion.
but I don't know if I would call it different in a good way. It's definitely different in terms of like, at least it's still Path of Exile and it's something different to do. I don't think I would ever call Ruthless better than the base game, but it has its own appeal, and
I agree with that.
The appeal is that it's different, right?
I think it's worth one playthrough, whatever that means for you. Like whether that's to like Acton Kitava and then never touching it again, whether that's to like try to play softcore, try to kill like either Exile with like the limitations it puts on you, or something. But I think for a lot of people, Ruthless is gonna be like one pump and then done, but we'll see. I mean, people thought SSF wouldn't be popular either initially, right? When it first was announced, they thought it was like, oh, it's a mode for like Project PT and the 10 people who play SSF with him. And then like now SSF is like, I don't know how many people play SSF, random guess would be like 20-30%. I don't know how many it actually is, but
it divided the hardcore community, right? Now it's going to divide it again.
Kind of kill hardcore community, yeah.
So
I don't know how many people will stick to hardcore Ruthless. I think hardcore Ruthless is it
That's
might
pretty
honestly
insane.
be too much. It's a little too much too Ruthless, honestly. I think
I
it's
watched you play the alpha, right? And like even at def in like early maps loses so much time.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
I don't know. I feel like imagine you play hardcore Ruthless and you have like one character that's like actually good. You have like determination and whatnot, you die on it and it's like month of progress just gone. That's like I don't know, man.
a lot of fun in PoE, even though the trading system sucks, is to be able to customize your character the way you want it to. And a lot of trade leagues does that, right? And the times I've been on hardcore trade, oh my god, that place is like a dead zone. Like I feel like that part of the game has really suffered.
Like
Really?
the hardcore trade on Leaguestart is pretty alive. Like the first 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks.
Maybe it's only because I played in like after like a month of Leaguestart.
Yeah.
Dude,
It definitely
it's
dies
like,
down.
It's a ghost town. Dude.
I would say BPL announces the end of hardcore trade generally. I think after BPL there's like hardcore trade is just dead. But the first 2-3 weeks there's plenty of trading going on. At least it was when I played.
I don't know, man. Even like
Sentinel.
SC trade last league, right? When the game dies down, you can feel it. Like there's like no activity, like no one's posting builds, no one's freaking like.
You say that, but like I play SC trade like 2 months into the league, and everyone is like, "Oh, the league is so dead," and then like I started looking up for items, and there's just everything I need always available, anyways. So it's like I guess it depends on what kind of player you are.
That even though 90% dead is still huge compared to HC trade or something.
Yeah, I think you're just
I guess my expectations are low, but I don't know if everyone has the same expectations as you do, right?
Yeah, you probably logged on Seismic anyways, so.
I played Seismic and then I played Champ Nightblade, yep.
Yeah, those are pretty common.
True.
Builds.
Honestly, if there was like bigger changes this league, if it was less stale, I might not play Ruthless. But you know, just the fact that the game hasn't really changed much in like a year now, I just need something new. At least for one league.
You don't think this league's changed much?
No.
I think this league is huge in terms of like change.
I think
I know like the skills changes are.
I can't tell if you're memeing or not.
No, I'm not memeing. No, I don't think in terms of skills maybe it's not, but
it's the same skills, but you scale them differently, or like
you scale like the builds are like a lot different. I feel like there's like so many new things, so many new builds that are going to come out with this league because all the unique items look really, really powerful. Like there's all of these new ball skills, like in terms of like builds, there's going to be at least, I'm going to say there's going to be at least like 30 to 50 new builds this league, right? That comes out in terms of like how to bake them.
Name all of them.
Name 2 of them.
I guarantee you there's at least going to be 10 different builds with Jung's Ring alone. I fucking guarantee it.
Yeah, most of this is pretty end game though. Like the uniques that came out, the like Sanctum drops and Uber drops, right?
Yeah, but Manny, isn't that the whole point of playing Path of Exile though? To get to those items and then make cool.
Yeah,
builds?
for sure. I just feel like the first 2 weeks of this league would feel exactly the same as the last league if I played non-Ruthless this league.
Yeah, that's true. Like you're.
I mean, it's just an
you're-
SSF thing though. You just gotta like build everything again. You know, you gotta kill your bosses again to get your watches again and your gems, and you sort of farm everything again. You know, I'm kind of tired of it.
Oh yeah, speaking of killing bosses, can we talk about the fact that there's no captivated interest and Height of Hubris on the Atlas tree that they showed?
Yeah, why the hell is that? That was so nice.
I don't know. I don't like the fact that we weren't told about it either.
That's
Right.
why the Atlas tree is delayed, right? Because they need to figure out how to add it back in and fix everything.
Oh, maybe it's that. They're figuring
Yeah.
out where they put it, right? After they didn't show it in the trailers. I don't know. That part is like literally cutting like your Maven Splinters in half. There's no Guardians 8 this time around.
I mean, their reasoning is that it felt mandatory to take those in the past, right?
Yeah.
But why don't they just compensate in some way? Like, at least Height of Hubris is a single point. They could just stay just fine. And they could make Guardians just a 2-pointer or something, right? Like, I don't know. Like, definitely could have fixed it somehow, I feel like.
I think the idea there, while I don't like it, but it makes sense, is to bridge the gap between like the good builds and the like whatever builds, and allow you to farm bosses or like invitation content without needing to have like a build that can do Height of Hubris. 100
Yeah, true.
quad, right? Because
But at
this
the
way,
same
like,
time, do the
Or-
opposite with Uber bosses, right? And giving them
Yeah.
really good uniques. So you have to farm Uber bosses now.
I still think Uber
Okay.
bosses should be like Uber, like sets should drop from normal sets, and it would solve so many problems for Trade League.
Or the real reason, invitations with Hive of Hubris presented an extreme amount of giftiness, and they've removed that from the game.
Amount of what?
Yeah.
Extreme amount of giftiness.
I mean, it was a little silly that you kill a feared, like one feared invite and did drop like 3 Mavens. I don't know, it's kind of neat to see. Maybe they buffed the base rate of splinters, right? Let's say they buffed the base rate of splinters by 50%. I think everyone's gonna be okay with that change, if that's what happened. But I have a feeling we're gonna be getting like, you do like Elder Guardians, you drop like 4 fragments.
I mean,
That's what
in
I'm
GG's
expecting.
Defense, the thing with Height of Hubris too, though, was you could just re-roll the invite enough times to where none of the mods mattered for your build anyway, and
That
you
is
just got the extra loot without it even being any harder.
Yeah, it just ended up being power creep to the loot, really.
I think Captivated Interest had its merits though. Maybe Height of Hubris, sure, but Captivated Interest to like release all.
Yeah, that one's a better designed one.
The Guardian one, too. Like, that one was actually way harder, right? They heal
Guardian,
up to full, there's
yeah.
2 of them. That one was very fair risk versus reward IMO.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like there's like very little reason to invest into like a invitation farmer now, or like a boss farmer. I guess if you want to farm like Uber bosses, then maybe.
You still
just-
need to do it, right? You still need to
Gotta
farm
go.
the Guardians to get to Cyrus, which drops all of these freaking insane items now. So now you just
exactly.
get less than what you used to get.
I mean, it's probably going to adjust, though, right? Like, the Maven invitations are going to be, or like the Maven splinters are going to be more expensive. Sirius fragments are going to be more expensive. So, like, farming those invitations might not change much profit-wise, like, value-wise.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I was just like, when I realized today that those keystons are gone, I was like, oh no, man, I don't know if I like this. Because it removes like more of the like optional difficulty again, right? I mean, I guess that's what kind of they went for this league with like Wrath of the Cosmos and like a lot of other stuff, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what the nodes are going to do either, right? So who knows? We'll see.
And the reasoning
I don't know
was that... Sorry.
Go for it. Go for it.
I was just repeating what Intro said, really. Like, because people had feeling like the difficulty was too high, right? Like, you got one shot by things when you had Wrath of the Cosmos or Height of Hubris, and you didn't really pay attention to it. but you kind of felt like you had to do it. And if you weren't smart about it, you ran Height of the Hubris with a ton of damage mods, and that's not fair. So might be better for them to remove it.
What do you guys think of the 2 new memories? The Beast one looked exciting from what we have seen.
I already forgot what they did.
Okay, so you can replace a mod on a Watcher's Eye. It's one of the things. There's
Was that specifically tied to the memory?
I don't know. They made it sound like you can, like it was to the memory, but I'm not sure if they are only in the memory or they have a higher chance to appear in the memory. You can also reroll an Awakened Support Gem, and you can reroll the Synthesis mod on an item, or like Synthesis implicit. So like
The Synthesis one could be
those
big.
are 3 out of 9, and there's 6 more of these of like probably similar power level. Those sound kind of cool to me. I didn't expect that at all. I'd like kind of given up on memories, but those seem pretty cool.
It just kind of sucks that it's just completely random drops though. Like there's no way I can target this memory or anything, right? We just play the game and maybe it drops, maybe it won't drop.
They could add nodes on the Atlas tree that are Einhar nodes that give you increased chance to drop Einhar memories, right?
Yeah, hell yeah, that would be great.
That would be
like
good.
memories in general.
I would love that.
I'm not looking forward to it. I'm just gonna fail my Watcher's Eyes and get laughed at.
Oh no, dude. You just know that's gonna happen.
What do you think about the fracturing orb? You think Harvey's gonna be OP now?
I think
Yeah.
we have to, right? I mean, you
It's
want
going to.
engineers are good anyways, right?
And every other map device option sucks.
Yeah, that's the biggest reason to. Like this league, there's just nothing else to do on the
Okay.
map device. With your
How
chaos.
rare do you guys expect fracturing orbs to be? Let's talk about it for a second. Like, do you
I think you'll
expect them to be?
finish 3 exalts per fracturing orb.
I was
That's
gonna say
pretty.
2x.
That's pretty good. Both of those are pretty good. Like
They're gonna replace Exalt. Copium.
I hope you can farm it faster than Harvest, but I'm afraid that it's not gonna be faster than Harvest because it's more convenient to trade. So usually when
Is it
stuff
more
becomes
convenient though?
I mean, you just
It
trade the
is.
orb instead of like.
Yeah, you just trade that life force.
I guess it's the same. Yeah, I guess you can argue it's the same.
No.
And if it's
Like-
slow at this league, and then next league we don't have Harvey on the map device, then say goodbye to fractures.
Yeah.
Surely they're not that rare.
I feel like based on last
So-
league, it didn't look like they were trying to be like stingy on fractures. So I would hope that it wouldn't be super rare. Surely they
I
are
mean, there's
aware of
no
the problem
Harbinger.
with crafting.
There's still Harbinger, Scarabs, and map device, or not map device, Atlas tree, right? So no matter what, it's gonna be better than Harvest because Harvest literally cannot be. There's no Scarabs for Harvest, so there's only like Atlas tree and
You buy Harvest memory.
Is there a Harbinger memory? There is.
there's Harbinger
There
memory
is a hard
too.
memory. Yeah.
Was
Yo, there
there a
might be
good
God
one?
here now.
I
I
just
think it
remember
dropped a
the
ton of
shot.
splinters. A
I
ton
think
of shots.
I think it was really good with Beyond. People are saying if you outroll it for Beyond, it was really good. I don't know if they changed
Wait,
that.
does rarity affect Harvey drop for shards now?
No, I didn't at least.
Can we confirm this? Are we sure? Yo,
It's not
NB
drop.
just said no. Okay.
It doesn't drop from
NB said-
monsters. It's like a chest reward basically. Like think of Harbinger as a chest, right?
Wait, MP, are you saying it never did? Because did you guys actually test last league? Because they changed everything, right?
But you don't kill the mob that drops the shards.
Oh, okay. Well,
I would assume it wouldn't,
What?
but
man, wasn't part of the loot conversion.
I mean, the
Is it-
Harbinger monster itself is a unique monster that you can't even target. It doesn't have any
yeah, you are not like
Archnemesis mods
culling
to
it or
convert.
anything. You're not like killing it; it just dies.
All right, as long as I don't need to have magic find gear when I'm freaking farming Harbinger or Harbinger orbs, dude, I'm gonna be pissed, dude. If I have to put on my magic find gear, I'm gonna be mad.
I mean, I know for a fact I'm clicking Harpy on every single map and turning all my scarabs into Harpies in SSF. It's not like I mean, Harpy was already decent, because engineers are always fun. And then, I mean, now that you can farm Harvey instead of Harvest, I mean, sign me up. I would way rather do that than farm Harvest.
Yeah.
It's a nice cycle too, because Harvey will give you Horizon shards, and then you can convert your Scarabs with that to more Harbinger Scarabs.
Beachhead, and you get a Void Forge card.
Do you guys think Fracturing Orbs will drop in Beachhead? Probably, right? Still?
Don't see why not.
Some shards don't
and
drop
they
in
get
Beachhead,
converted.
so I think.
It's only the Harbinger Orb that doesn't drop there,
Oh,
because
it's
it would
hard.
help sustain it.
True. That's what it was. You're right.
And then shards still convert it to full orbs too. I think they're going to be a lot more common than people think.
Harvey Orbs are Harvey Orbs more or less common than Exiles from like Harveys in general?
More common in maps.
More? Wasn't sure. Good Jank had a good take for once. He said that Fracturing Orbs are just replacing Engineering Orbs at the same drop rate.
What'd you say?
Yeah, dude.
Had a good.
Good take for once, dude. Just drop like 3 Fracturing Orbs per map.
I don't know how often those drop because I've had them hidden for 2 years.
Dude, those are so bad. I don't even know why we have them in the game. Like, anyone who cares about boxes runs them very corrupted.
Dude, that guy literally made a game-breaking item, so everybody thinks of him every single time they play one of those builds. He's like trying to psychologically imprint his face into your brain. That guy's evil, I'm telling you.
I mean, he did succeed at making a cool, unique item, though. Initially, it was just gonna be like a stat stick, or he was like, oh, for each mastery, you gain 5 life, or something like that. Or like, you gain all the masteries at the same time, and instead he ended up with this thing, like... He is definitely the winner of this all unique. I mean, all the uniques design were like pretty cool though.
We have to find some. You have to find a good build with that ring, right? Steals this guy, I think, is gonna just be like
on every
the
build.
most. Yeah,
Steals
it's like
and-
any build that can clear properly. It's just gonna be like slap on the flask, dude. It's gonna be so good.
Whose was it that did the Cortex jewel? Because that thing's just usable in so many builds.
That's RNX, right?
It was raw.
Yeah.
So the Consecrated Ground Jewel is Uber Cortex.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you will pretty much never see it in SSF, huh?
That one is probably. I don't know, man. Maybe they
Holy
don't make it that rare, but
With all the Awakeners you're going to be doing, you'll get plenty of Cortex.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I guess it's a jewel for the last month of the league. Yep.
Wait, the Cortex card also drops off of
Conquerors.
Conquerors, right?
Yeah.
There's like 2 Cortex cards, right? Or is one's a just unique synthesis? I forget.
Cortex card that drops from all 5 Conquerors, including Cirrus, and then there's a random synthesis map that drops from the regular 4 Conquerors very often, though.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that one's not weighted. It's like 1 in 5 for Cortex.
Yeah, it's like 1 in 5.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
farming Conquerors is definitely the best way to farm Cortex in SSF.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be that bad. I mean,
It just
sure,
sucks that, Cortexes from Kirik don't count.
They didn't nerf the Harvest Sexton thing, right? So technically, like, if you are an SSF player and you want to farm Cortex, you would try to run like Infinite Sustain on Drop's Conqueror map.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely something that you can try to farm.
it's not infinite sustain, but it'll get you enough Conqueror maps for.
I mean,
to
you
do
can
all
keep the
that
Sextant forever, right? You would just have to
Yeah.
run some Harvest in between.
Yep. It's still a lot of Conqueror maps, and there's still a lot of bosses, right? So I'm pretty sure like it's farmable in SSF. There's so many strats from last league. Like with all the bad stuff that happened last league, there's a lot of good stuff too. We're just forgetting about it.
I mean, most people don't know the good stuff because they quit 2 days into the league.
True.
I don't think that's gonna happen this week. I think people are gonna have a lot better time. Archnemesis, league mechanic looks better. I think people are gonna stay for a bit longer this time around. And it's Christmas coming, so people should have more time to play. I think this league is gonna be somewhat of a success. I'm having high hopes. What do you guys plan for Leaguestart actually? Let's finish on that one. So let's start with Waggle. I assume you're playing hardcore trade.
Yeah.
You're still thinking about Hex Blast traps or
Poison Hex Blast traps.
Holy Giga Chat.
It's gonna be really fucked day one, I think, but then it actually looks like it'll be pretty good.
I saw you POBing it. How much of a curse effect scaling are you going for?
Like 10% on the tree, and that's it, pretty much.
So you're not going like full curse effect scaling. Okay.
No, the poison, like the poison's already at like, without even a focus mod, it's like 7 or 8 seconds or something already. Like yeah, your POB damage will go really, really high if you scale a bunch of curse effect, but
Yeah, I
it
think
just
it's
becomes
like
unpractical.
Uber angle only. Like for mapping, curse effect doesn't accomplish much.
Yeah.
But I definitely plan on making my Uber killer some like mega tank Z DPS, but like just stack infinite poison. Manny, you planning to start Ruthless, right? Do you have any plan for it, or what's the current situation?
Not really. I'm just gonna pick one of the like 3 viable Ruthless starters and then see what drops.
So
Hopefully I'll have fun. I'm probably gonna check out the normal league as well though, later on.
I mean, like BPL would be a good time, right? Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Ru?
I just joined the best builds by that point.
Ru, what's the plan?
I was gonna force myself to start Vol Smite, but I don't think I could do it anymore after reading that line. So I have no idea. I'm lost right now. I made that Vol Venom Gyre build that looked pretty good with some tech, and but I don't know. I have so many builds I can fall back on, like my usual suspects, right? So I'm not
Like
really
Vortex
sure what I want
Ignite
to do.
CF, or
Yeah.
do you have anything else?
Like those builds are like still OP as hell. Like I have no complaints. I made like new POBs for all of them. Like I have like an endgame CF POB that's over 30 million. I have an endgame Vortex POB that's dot capped, and they both start off well, and they're like really, really good. I finished all the POBs last night, even though I was sick because these guys kept on complaining, "Where's my CF POB?" But
Okay.
yeah, they look really good. But I kind of want to start Venom Gyre though. But I kind of don't want to start the same build as Kobe because then I'm gonna like they're gonna be like fighting like over the same items. Not with him, but with all his viewers because I'm slow. I don't know what I want to do. I'm kind of lost. Maybe I just like put my head down and make a new POB for like another skill or something new.
I mean,
Trust, the smite will be fine. The
any
line
like lightning
doesn't work
or
like you think.
ignites, like any lightning spell or like ignite skill with like on elementalist with smite scaling is probably gonna be really strong, right? So that's always an option. I'm probably gonna
Like-
try something new this week. Like I was thinking maybe seismic.
Bro, you know I could
Seismic
slap
Silver.
on. I could slap on Vol Smite on Vortex. It's gonna do a shitload of damage, right? Because I don't need an extra skill gem anymore, and I lost combustion. So I could even do
True.
more damage too. It's like, I don't know. That thing is. I think Vol Smite is broken. I think Vol
agree.
Smite March of the Legion is just entirely fucking busted.
I think it's broken, but it's broken in a bad way. It's like it's just like another support skill. That's just you add it to like most builds or like any build that
You
can
have
use
to
it.
add. And you
Yeah,
don't have
Yeah.
gem space to add, but you
It's-
have to add it anyway.
It just I hate how strong it is and that it like is really, like very versatile. Like, you should just have it in like most builds.
Yep.
We'll see how it plays out.
It's
but-
too good. It's honestly too good. The
It is.
hits cannot be evaded part is
You know what it's good
is
for too?
so
Like
insane.
attack poison. I know they nerf like elusive for that, but if you're playing
you
attack
can't
poison,
smite with claw though.
no with oh wait, you cannot smite with
You
dagger.
can't smite
either.
with dagger.
Oh, yeah, I
if you
forgot.
could, that build would be like S tier.
Yeah, I
like,
forgot.
Non S tier.
Can you weapon swap?
No, you lose
You
the buff.
lose above. Is there
Okay,
any
try.
way to do it? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think there's a way to do
Var-
it.
Veranostra.
Var Nostra.
Yeah, but you need to
But you can't do it
like
with poison.
all damage poisons. Yeah.
Yeah. You could do it if you lose half the poison duration with gloves and you use a
I
single
hate
element.
those gloves,
But
but you could, yeah. Okay,
it's not worth.
Anyone
not
has
worth
any closing thoughts before we sign it off? Covered pretty much
yeah.
everything.
I don't. It's not a closing thought. I have a request. Can everybody in our streams agree to delete Insane Cat from our streams?
Oh, I haven't added it yet, but thanks for reminding me.
I just added it at the start of this podcast.
I cannot
I
wait
can't
to spam it
rename
next
shit.
week. I cannot wait to spam it every time it drops. But like,
Which will be very often, surely.
Ru, you should be really happy about this. You know how everyone trades you like a console of cats during like Trade League as like a meme from your viewers whenever they trade you? Maybe they will start trading you insane cat.
Oh no, dude! I can't. I don't take handouts though.
It's not a handout, dude. It's just like meme, right?
That's a handout, dude. I'm not gonna take like
You
a
bring him
ninth
to
of
the
a mage
harvest
blood.
gamble.
Dude,
Just collect them in some tab until the tab's full.
these guys are so toxic. They just give me council of cats all the time. At the end of the league, I have like so many of those things.
Yeah, now it's gonna be mage bloods. Insane cats. I mean, you are the biggest winner here. Like, you literally got a card after you. I mean, it's free promotion for your stream. Everyone's talking about it. It's perfect. I don't know why you don't like it.
The card.
How am I a winner? What about my dignity and my pride?
You lost that a long time ago.
Do we know who made that card?
Yeah, Blaze_AMK. He's in chat right now. He
Nice.
won it from a console race to Ubers.
Wait,
What a
he won it.
gamer.
Wait, he won it in a console? Did you use one of my builds to do that, Blaze? Oh my! He used my own build to insult me? Oh my god!
Dude, that is the best card they have added into PoE in a long time, man. When I saw that, I actually giggled for like solid few minutes. Apparently he did it with Seismic, so it's not even like you didn't do anything for it, Drew.
Okay.
So you're good.
Okay. Thank God. Thank God.
But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks Waggle, Ru, and Manni for participating, and you guys had fun talking about it too. I feel like we covered most topics and we had some good discussion. There's been a lot of ideas flowing, and I don't think it's gonna impact my starter, but definitely might impact my decisions when it comes to like next builds.
Yeah, I think I learned more than I said myself.
Can we get a quick insane cat spam in chat one more time, please?
No, don't do it. Don't do it. I'll literally ban all of you.
You have no power here. Is anyone planning to stream after this? Waggle, Ru, Manni?
Nope.
No, I need a rest. I'll stream tomorrow. I'm like still dying from COVID.
Hope you.
I'm gonna get on in like an hour, I think, but I gotta go get some food.
Okay, I will just send the people somewhere else then. Thanks everyone for being here. It's fun
Bye,
talking
loves.
to you guys.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye bye everyone.
See you.